Well. Who is this ginger cretin beneath me on the video version, Matt? What's going on here?
This guy?
Yeah, this one. Who is he?
I don't know. He looks familiar, but he's also way more pale than I remember. So, I'm not sure.
No, he's exactly as pale as I remember.
Oh, exactly?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's true. I haven't seen sunlight in 6 months.
He basically
that's true for all of England, to be fair.
He basically glows in the dark.
Welcome everyone. This is Comics From The Multiverse, episode 408. I am Peter, and joining me, as always, is Matt.
What a wonderful day.
And somehow, Connor returned.
I'm here for my quarterly appearance.
Except you're here next week as well, so it's...
Well, that right now is my quarterly appearance. Next week's bonus.
Next week's bonus, okay. Yeah, next week you're getting a rare Connor only... Well, not well, I'll be there too. Don't worry, audience, I don't want to worry you. It's not just Connor on his own for 2 hours. I will also be on next week's show.
Give the people what they want.
You know what? I don't pay because as talent, I don't have to pay for this, but I would pay just to watch Connor try to do this on his own.
Easy.
Easy.
I'm not saying you can't, but it's definitely, it would be fun to see.
I'll
you
take
wouldn't
a
have to
week
listen
off.
to sales figures.
I mean, there's no sales figures anymore. It's just a ranking because they
Well, you wouldn't have to listen to that either.
Nah, they love the rankings. The people love the rank. Look, you don't come in here and try and shake things up, you part-time person, okay? Right? Part-timer. He's the Brock Lesnar of Comics From The Multiverse.
Oh, okay, let's we can't be throwing that around
I did not realize that was such an insult.
anymore. For other reasons, Connor, that we won't get into.
Okay.
Yes.
True. He's also tied to being accused of some heinous things, but that's not what I was getting at.
We again, I've said it before. Connor is the CM Punk of this show.
What, prick?
He shows up, gets hurt, and then he'll be back.
Hey, but that's a name I've moderately heard of, so that means he's successful.
Yes, and also he has a rivalry with Pete, who's Scottish, right? Much like the one ongoing with Drew McIntyre. It just fits.
This is a DC Comics podcast, everyone, believe it or not. We're going to talk about the DC Comics we read this week. Coming up on this week's show, we have Action Comics 1065, Batman and Robin issue 9, Green Lantern issue 11, Outsiders issue 7. Matt will be talking about Blue Beetle issue 9, and then Connor is doing a Patreon book from like 8 months ago. It's called Noctera 15, so you can look forward to that. Plus,
it's like being in a time machine.
Yeah, plus a second Patreon book from Connor, the final one that he owes to Patron David, not Patron Saint, just Patron David, just I don't want delusions of grandeur there, and that is Gotham or Red Hood issue 2, which, when was that crossover?
Bro,
I don't know, but it's about the time where I last read Batman.
No.
That's not true. I've read after that.
No, because you read Joker War. Not Joker War. Year One, Joker Year One. You read some of that.
Well, listen, I have read after that. I'm only a couple of issues behind on Batman. I just wish I wasn't. I mean, maybe it's gone better in the last few issues. I don't know, but
no,
yeah, I didn't think so.
Hey Pete, if he catches up, then we can stop.
Wait, shit, is there Batman next week?
No, there's not.
No.
Oh, thank God, no, I don't have to catch up on Batman.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's Wonder Woman though, and I'm really not looking forward to you giving your opinion on that.
I dropped Woman. I hated it. I was putting myself through it. I thought, because it's a big, high-profile book. I was putting myself through it. I was like, I should do this. And then I got to like issue 6, 7, and I felt I was miserable. I was like, this is horrific. Why am I doing this?
Horrific.
This guy right here hates the Eisner nominated book Wonder Woman. So I point that out.
It's terrible.
It's not terrible. It's arguably the best ongoing book at DC right now, but that's
I will argue all day long. Because
I know you will. I know you'll argue. I'm familiar with your personality.
It's just every Tom King book sounds the same at this point. He puts the same insert voice into all of them, and I hate it.
I disagree.
Well, this was fun while it lasted.
But I remember. Yeah. I would say you'd have to pay me to read that book, but people would.
No.
So, I'm never voluntarily reading that book ever again.
Well, Pete, I will do my best at sending. I'll try to read Wonder Woman early enough. I can send some thoughts.
Send in some thoughts, yes.
For at least that one, maybe Nightwing.
I am just looking ahead at what is out next, not to spoil what's out, but just like I'm reading most of everything else still. I wasn't catching up, but I don't know if any of you are still reading Alan Scott, but I'm not reading that one. But that's the only other one.
We dropped
that. That was the only other major one that sticks out to me as I've given up on.
Yeah, it's the busy week next week, though. I've got like 7 or 8 books, which is notably more than the other weeks right now. That should all be changing. We'll be looking at solicits today as well. We got solicits for August. We got solicits for. So obviously with the event kicking off, there's tie-ins to that. So there'll definitely be more sort of in the pails each week. But yeah, Carter's paying off some debts with some Patreon books, and we got solicits. So a whole host of show. But before we get to anything, Matt, how was your week?
It was pretty good. I finished Fallout.
Nice.
Very fun. Yeah, very fun show. New Ella Purnell fan over here. I'll watch most things that she does, including the just announced squirrel-based horror movie. She's attached to.
I did see that announcement. Yes, there's going to be a
squirrel-based.
Squirrel, yes. So I have no idea outside of the headline. I didn't click on the article.
Yeah, but she's going to be Squirrel Girl. That's what's happening.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's where I thought that was going.
Yeah.
Matt said squirrel.
That's a horror movie.
Okay.
But yeah, that was very fun. And again, it makes me interested in the game, even though I have 0 time to play. But if the games are anything like the show, I think I would very much enjoy them.
In tone, yes, but as a game, I find them very boring. I tried playing Fallout 4 again and was just bored after a few hours. So I would not recommend the games, but obviously some people love them, but they're not for me.
And then what else? It's other than that, not too busy. Can't even blame hockey playoffs anymore because I haven't really been watching them. But yeah.
Is that because your team got kicked out or something?
Yes, that's an affirmative. I'm trying to get better with the cough button.
I noticed that. That was good. Yeah, because I was giving you trouble last week for the big sniffles you were doing right into the mic.
Yeah. My hockey team got knocked out a couple weeks ago, and I just, I haven't watched more than a period at a time. So.
How many years has it taken for Matt to learn mic etiquette?
Yeah, far too many.
7.
I didn't think it was ever going to happen. I just
8. We're 8 years now. 8 years this month.
Well, and I'm going on year 11 of doing shows with Pete. Yeah. Because we started in 2013.
That's right.
It's finally started to learn.
Yep. Well, see, the sniffles were more subconscious, as I didn't realize I was doing them until Pete yelled at me, and then it made me more conscious about it. Coughs are a little bit easier to handle, but yeah, I think I caught a chest cold on vacation, and it's wearing itself out now. I'm almost better, so yeah, it's taking medicine before bed's giving me some really wonky dreams. So I haven't enjoyed that. I'll tell you that much.
Being fed fruit by Scott Lobdell in a jacuzzi tub. Is that what's happening?
I mean, not exactly, but you're close.
All right, Carter, how was your 3 months?
Yeah, been all right. But, at least the weather's picking up finally at last.
That's like the last week or so, though.
Honestly, it's been a really, really, really grey spring so far. I've only had patches of sunshine. It's mostly been overcast and wet, and basically when you think of England, it's been that what people assume. But it's getting nice now, and the drinks are out. Sit outside with a book, and it's been good. A lot of work though, which has been a bit miserable, but
yeah. That's the human experience, though, right?
Yeah. Gotta pay the bills somehow.
Yeah. I've been doing. I mean, I've kind of been doing walking every day on and off for years at this point. But obviously, during the colder months, it's not as frequent. But put a lot of effort in the last couple of weeks, though. In fact, there's been a few days recently I've been hitting 90 minutes on the walking.
Hey, let's go.
So I've been trying to keep it going.
I finally started running again in the last week or so. I used to do it 3-4 times a week, and then I got to bad weather, and I stopped for a bit, and I just didn't get back into it. And I kept being, you come on, I'll do it next week. I'll do it tomorrow, whatever. And it ended up being like 6-7 months. Yeah. So I had to just no, just go. Doesn't matter what. Doesn't matter what it's like going tonight. So I did, and I've done a few. I'm back up to 5K a night now. So.
I think I'm the most active out of us, and your mile time is still faster than mine, and that pains me.
I'm active. I don't do the gym, but I'm on my feet all day. I get 10 to 20,000 steps in every single day. Work no matter what. And I'll do a reasonable amount of lifting. 7-8 kilo boxes.
That's my point though, Connor. Is I go and play football almost every Saturday, and then 4 days a week I'm at the gym, and you're still faster than me, and that just pains me because no matter what I do, I'm just but
you could lift way more than me.
Oh yeah, I get.
Yeah, exactly. I can do cardio.
Oh, Matt, you once were on a diet, I remember, and the diet involved eating 4 donuts when your timer went off.
I misunderstood intermittent fasting, so I thought I could still eat whatever I want, and we just happened to get donuts. So
I don't think there's any world in which stuffing your face with 3 or 4 donuts as soon as it's time to eat is in any way helping anyone's diet.
I mean, if you're trying to get a sugar spike, I'm sure. That would help, carbo loading. But yeah.
I guess what I'm saying is maybe just less of that, and maybe you'll be beat Connor.
Yeah. No, because no matter what, I've always been slow. I just don't have the mechanics. I am a blocker. I am not a runner.
Admittedly, not that I hear of Connor's diet, it's always that amazing either.
My diet is spectacular, thank you very much.
How many burgers have you had in the last week?
Hang on. What day are we going back to? Go back
but what saves Connor though is he can't have cheese or anything with milk base. So
I would say between 8 and 10 burgers since Monday.
Yeah, that's not too bad. And those burgers are actually pretty lean when you think about it. So as long as you keep all the junk off of it.
There's a lot of copium going on right now.
Honestly, it say what you want. It's basically just pure, not heavily processed. Either just beef slapped on with salt and pepper.
Okay.
It's not actually that bad, all things considered.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Now, do you guys have Wendy's over there?
No.
No, that's not true. We do now.
We do?
Okay.
Yeah, we've got one. I haven't been yet, but we've got one.
Are you familiar with the Baconator?
By name.
Yeah. So it's a double bacon cheeseburger. That's just it. It's burger patty, bacon, cheese, condiments, and then another patty, bacon, cheese.
Sounds solid.
And it is delicious, but it makes my chest hurt every time I eat one. So, it's called
the Baconator. It is not designed to be healthy.
Right, let me see if the UK one.
Yeah. So
see if
as long as he's not eating those. But yeah, I sometimes I wish I was lactose intolerant because it would make it a lot easier for me to diet if the things that I liked.
Oh yeah, we do sell the Baconator. 1,010 calories.
Yeah, buddy.
Oh, that does look good.
Yeah, it's pretty tasty.
Sweet.
I don't recommend it more than twice a year, but
Okay, I was curious. There's actually a reasonable amount of Wendy's, but they all appear to be in England based on this list of locations. I'm not seeing any Scottish locations.
The one by me opened in the last few months. That's why I've not been yet. I just know it's there. And I say by me, it's in the city centre. It's like, I go into the city centre, once a month, maybe every 6 weeks. So
every city listed here on this list of locations in the UK has one Wendy's in it, except one place. And that one place that has 2 Wendy's is Hull, which is not what I would have predicted.
You could have given me 15 guesses, and I still wouldn't have got to Hull.
So why is that relevant? Why?
Because it's just a smaller place. It's not a smaller place. It's not a big city.
Gotcha.
It's like a medium size.
It's like a seaside city, right? It
is on the coast. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
They love redheads.
But yeah.
Apparently. That's so weird. There's not even one in Scotland because typically, when it comes to stuff like this, they don't really think of Scotland and England as separate places. It's just the UK,
right.
So it's weird that there's not one in Scotland. Unless I'm just not recognizing a location here, but I don't think so.
Right.
All right, what are you saying, Connor?
Yeah, well, there's, no, I'm just looking at the list now. They all look pretty English places, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not seeing anything that could be anywhere else.
Growing up, Wendy's was also relevant, well, not relevant, was notable because they also did baked potatoes, and some of them had salad bars built in. So you could, fake the whole healthy thing even back in the 90s.
I'm not a big baked potato person, to be honest.
Yeah.
I am, and I miss the fact that, like, where I grew up, not far from me, there was like a shopping centre, like a retail park with a bit more. It's like a big car park, about 15 shops around it, and there's one jacket potato stall, just like one of the little food carts outside. I did the best potato with a chicken tikka curry on the top. So good. I've never got one anywhere near as good as that.
That sounds delicious. It doesn't seem like it would be great, but potatoes are basically just a vessel for toppings.
Hey,
potato, butter, and curry on top is so good.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
For the record, just in case anyone's misunderstood, I love potatoes. I just, for some reason, a baked potato with just the toppings never done it for me. I've never.
Yeah.
It's all down to the topping, though, isn't it? Like,
yeah.
Sour cream, butter, chives.
Okay.
You gotta have like full meals with like a big bowl of like tuna mayo on it or something.
Did you say tuna mayo?
Yeah, tuna mayo on a jacket potato is so good. That's a staple. But your most common toppings over here are probably coleslaw, tuna mayo, and baked beans. Those are probably your three standard toppings outside of just plain with just.
Oh, that's right. That's what Wendy's gimmick is the burgers are square. That's their gimmick.
A square.
Yeah.
Square. And they have chili that's made from the leftover burger patties. So, but yes. So.
Connor's looking at photos now being like, what? Square burgers? This is madness.
Why?
Yep.
I don't know. Maybe.
Hang on. Square and they're not in Scotland.
No?
It's square sausage we have, not square burgers.
Hey, they have a breakfast menu.
They do?
True, okay, that's
They
right.
have square sausage on their breakfast. I'm seeing it now. They have a breakfast baconator with square sausage.
And that's good because you don't traditionally think of a burger as a breakfast food. And I've been told when you're hungover, it hits real hard. So,
Matt, what's a Dave's burger? There's like 3 Dave's burgers here.
So Dave Thomas was the here we go. This is fast food history hour with Matt. So Dave Thomas was the founder of Wendy's. And and so
I wasn't really asking about the lore. I was more just asking what.
No, but that's the thing. So for a while they would just have like a double stack or whatever. They revamped the menu and they renamed the burgers after the founder. So that's what the Dave's, instead of just a double stack, it was Dave's double, Dave's triple, or the single. But most people don't order the single, right? Because it's a smaller, thinner patty. So you start with the double.
I'm looking at it now. A Dave's single is basically a quarter pounder from McDonald's.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what it kind of looks like.
Except with some lettuce and tomato thrown on.
Yeah, and I'm assuming the junior burgers are smaller versions of burgers.
Yes.
Okay, right. I'm getting
that. In my post football and in high school, we would go to Wendy's because it used to be really cheap, and I'd get 2 double stacks, the junior bacon cheeseburger and fries, and that was my post football meal. So, and it was only like $5-6. It's fantastic.
Oh yeah, the sides have got your baked potatoes, your chili con carne, chili cheese fries.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, if Wendy's ever opens near me, I'll try it. But
I think you dig it because you liked In-N-Out when you were stateside, right, Pete?
I did. I know it was good. Yeah.
So when it comes to burgers, Wendy's is my after In-N-Out because I put In-N-Out in a top spot because I don't consider In-N-Out really fast food. Even though it is traditionally, it's prepped a little bit different. But when it comes to burgers, I think Wendy's is my favorite when it comes down to it. So I think you dig.
Okay. Well, we should talk about DC Comics or something.
We should. We have solicits. We have Connor, and we all know that Connor likes to talk. When you get a
3 months out once.
Yeah, when you get a Patreon book out of Connor, you're gonna get your value's worth.
Yeah, but you'll be waiting for a long time. All right, let's look at the ComiXology rankings, the list formerly known as the ComiXology rankings. Hey,
ComiXology.
look in the bright side. Come July, it'll be one list instead of two. Right? Things are changing. Because DC's going back to Wednesday, so... Right?
Not until July. Bloody hell, I assumed they were going back sooner than that.
I think it's July. Maybe it's late June, but either way, it's
leave me one less day to read things again, and I don't like that.
Yeah.
That's what I'm more upset about.
It's pretty close though. We're already like halfway through May, so it's not that far off. All right, Matt. Would you care to guess what number 1 from Tuesday is?
I'm just gonna go with my gut and say Action Comics.
It is Action Comics. Look at that. Number 2 is Green Lantern. Number 3 is Batman and Robin. Number 4 is Outsiders. And then, because it's a lighter week from DC, we go to Suicide Squad Dream Team for number 5. Number 6.
That's a book.
Yeah. Number 6 is Red Hood to Hell, issue 4. You're lucky you're not reading that, Connor. Number 7 is Batman Dylan Dog. Number 8 is the next number. Is Critical Role, the Mighty 9 Origins. Number 9 is Blue Beetle. Blue Beetle's selling less than all those. Oh, that's rough for Blue Beetle.
That's why it's wrapping up soon. That's sad.
Critical Role has a dedicated audience that will just like it may not be the biggest, but they will buy everything.
Well, I'm talking about Dylan Dog, Red Hood to Hell, and Suicide Squad Dream Team. Blue Beetle, like I would say, should be beating all those. But number 10 is Sinister Sons issue 4. Also, clearly not doing that well, given that it's under all that. But whale stuff, and then we're literally on to like trades and stuff after that. So not much to say really there for DC's ranking. It's, if anything, I'm actually a little surprised that Outsiders is where it is at number 4. I
think it's getting the buzz bump because
maybe because I could see that being in the Sinister Sons kind of like slot of like, oh yeah, there's a small dedicated audience, but it's like minimal, but fair enough.
Yeah, I think word's out on the characters popping up in the book, and a lot of those people that miss those characters are now tuning in because I don't think it's ever been that high, right? Like Outsiders was always kind of down towards the bottom.
Yeah, but it's not competing with a lot this week.
No.
That's true too.
All right, Connor, would you care to guess what number 1 from Wednesday is?
Oh, I would put money on it being a lot of X-Men, even with there being an issue 1 out.
You're incorrect.
It's Doom number 1.
No way Doom is selling more than that.
It's Doom number 1?
Yeah.
It's Hickman.
It's not.
The Hickman freaks show up for Hickman.
And Sanford Green. I did not know this book existed, or else I would have picked it up physically just to look at it, because I love Sanford Green's art.
The Hickman perverts are en masse.
They are.
In fact,
just terrible.
Number 2 isn't even Ultimate X-Men. Number 2 is X-Men Forever, because the Kieran Gillen perverts show up for him.
I mean, I am there for... There's multiple Gillen books coming later this year that I'm very excited by. That
sure
non-Marvel books, like his creator-owned stuff. Very excited. But All My X-Men is so stylish that I'm surprised it doesn't have just bigger, just based on that.
Number 3 is Ultimate X-Men. So we got there and eventually.
Cool.
People surprised me.
It was the
People
confidence. It was only funny because he was so confident.
Yeah, I stand by that confidence. People disappoint me.
All right, number 4 is Amazing Spider-Man Blood. This is like a special. It's
Hunt.
not Blood Hunt. There you go. Number 5 is Weapon X-Men. Number 6 is Miss Marvel Mutant Menace. Number 7 is Redcoat, which is one of Jeff Johns' Image books. Number 8 is G.I. Joe Real American Hero. Number 9 is Thundercats, issue 4.
Oh.
And then number 10 is Miles Morales Spider-Man. So a few non-Marvel books sneaking in there in the bottom half of the top 10.
Yeah.
Nice to see. So, very cool. There's an Aliens What If book out this week as well. That's interesting.
Oh, who cares?
What if the last 2 were good?
Last 2? Last 4, 5, 6?
Yeah, well, I'm just going off of the Ridley Scott ones.
It's got Paul Reiser on the cover. Well, not obviously, he's drawn, obviously. It's not actually his face.
Yeah, but it's his character.
It's his character. So I think
Tell me that hasn't sold more than Fish Flies issue 6.
I mean,
What's Fish Flies?
What book?
It's the Lemire book.
Oh.
Fish Flies.
And I'm scrolling. I found it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 25, that is.
That's sad. That book is like peak Lemire.
People might be waiting for trade stuff, though. You know,
Aliens What If is number 11 for the record, and I assumed it was an issue 1, but it's actually issue 3. So issue 3 of that's outselling your fish flies.
Well, I got a trailer for Alien Romulus. I'm pretty excited because I had the realization around Alien Day this last year that I like Alien, but I don't love the Alien franchise. So that trailer got me, though.
I didn't realize it was going back to being like a legit horror movie again.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not surprised.
I was out the loop on it. I saw a trailer. I thought, they're doing horror again.
I am being cautiously optimistic. I like the director. The trailer is fine, although I will say the trailer just sort of makes it look like, oh, we're doing Alien again. So I'm hoping it's got its own spin once the bigger trailers come out or we see the movie. But yeah, I'm cautious. I'm cautious. But here's the thing: I've been burned the last couple times heavily, so I got to be cautious.
Like Covenant? Was Covenant the last one?
Covenant was the last one. Yes.
I thought you loved that movie.
I'm not going to dignify that with a response.
Hey, what does the robot want to do? What's he want to teach the other robot?
He wants him to teach him how to play the flute, and I believe the line that you're trying to get me to reenact is, "You blow, I'll do the fingering."
See, why would you know that if you didn't love the movie?
Because that's a very memorable line of dialogue. I've forgotten most of the rest of that film, but I remember that line.
That is Fassbender talking to Fassbender on top of it.
Fassbender's about to screw himself right there and then. I'll be seeing it again soon, though, because we're doing it on the Ace, the sci-fi podcast. We did Prometheus for Alien Day, and
there is a dedicated following that say people telling me that movie's that good, actually, and I don't want to take them up.
We did get a few comments saying they like the movie and they think the hate's unjustified, and I'm like, look, I've seen it a few times now, split it over time, and it's gotten worse every time I've seen it.
I didn't hate Prometheus the first time I saw it. I thought it was okay. But I think I like it less every time I think about it. It's
caught in this is what a big part of the conversation on the podcast was, but it's caught between two things, and it can't decide which one it wants to be. Does it want to be an alien movie, like an alien prequel, or does it want to be the story of like the creation of life and the engineers and all that? And those two things are at odds the entire movie, and it's not satisfying as either one.
And Ridley tries to do both, and it's not, because there are some very alien things in Prometheus, but it ultimately don't have the same hit.
Yeah.
That said, after living through a pandemic, I definitely look at people making bad decisions in a different light than I used to. Because I was like, oh, y'all are scientists. You're supposed to be smarter than that.
Oh, even the original Alien has, because I remember watching Alien in like April of 2020, right? So like just after the pandemic started. And there's a moment at the start of that movie where Kane's had the facehugger attached to him, and they bring him back to the ship. And Ripley's like, I'm not letting you in. This is a quarantine situation. He's got something attached to his face. I can't let you in. And they're like, no, Ripley, let us in. We can do something about it. Let us in. And Ash, and we know he's got ulterior motives from later in the movie, but he opens the door. But watching that scene, I have never been on Ripley's side more than after going through a little bit of a pandemic and realizing, people don't obey the rules that will actually keep everyone alive.
Yep. So it definitely makes me look at that movie a little bit differently, when I think back on it. So
yeah, I think it's answered a lot of things for all of us. When people go, why would you do that? Why would they make stupid decisions like that? And now we have seen that a lot of the human population will make stupid decisions like that. This is not flawed writing. This is reality at this point.
Yeah, well, the phrase "avoiding it like the plague" is now almost satirical because people did not avoid something that was basically
there's a certain segment of the U.S. population that if you tell them to avoid something like the plague, they will approach it with their mouth open, tongue out, just because you told them not to. So
which may be okay if it didn't affect everyone else. It's sort of like a Darwin thing. If you just let them all kill themselves, it's fine, right? We'll be better off afterwards.
Yep. So, but yeah, definitely. But yeah, the Alien What If got me on that. I haven't talked about that trailer yet, and I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's just a teaser, but it looks like an alien set. It looks like those facehuggers. It looks like there's the alien stuff happening. I hope it's good. I really do. I could use a win in that franchise. And we got a good Predator movie finally, after a long-ass time of not getting good Predator movies, so...
And hopefully there's more to come.
I finally watched that not that long ago.
Yes.
Did you like it?
I did, yeah. It's very good.
I never know with you, because you may just hate it, because you're you.
Yeah.
That's fair, but no, I
was
did
like
it.
Connor excited says, I watched it, and it was trash. And you're like,
Yeah, obviously, it was terrible. Why didn't they just commit to more?
Yeah, well, apparently they're doing both the sequel to Prey and a spin-off that the director of Prey is working on at a different time period, so we're getting...
Let's go.
We're getting a bunch of Predators soon.
Give me Samurai Predator. Give me Vikings versus Predator. Give me, World War One Predator. Oh my God, Predator in the trenches, like 1917. Oh my goodness, I'm just giving away these for free. Hollywood, I hope you're listening.
All right, let's get on to the solicits. This is the August solicits that have came out. We'll go through them as we always do. And starting it off is Absolute Power issue 2. Makes sense. Second part of the event. Mark Waid, Dan Mora. Seems like a potentially good story based on the little teasers we've had so far.
Okay. Shazam. Their Shazam also got nominated for Eisner's. So.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool that they're.
The Eisner's just nominate anyone now.
Excuse.
That book's solid. That book's solid, but it was not.
I'm just saying.
Of maybe the art, unless it was just an art nomination. Like that was not an Eisner nominee.
I just thought it was up there.
I think Connor's out of touch with the children. I think that's what's happening here.
So.
Connor is somehow, despite being the youngest of the three of us, has become the jaded old man who doesn't like things that much.
I like lots of things, but that book it's a good book. It's good, but it is not Eisner nominee.
Oh my God, that is my favorite Connor line now. I like lots of things.
I do. It's just different things.
Anime trash, probably. He's not even responding.
Let's keep going.
Not all of it.
We got Absolute Power Task Force 7 issue 4. One of the tie-in books, of course. Obviously remains to be seen if it's a worthwhile tie-in.
Hey, it has failsafe. I'm not interested.
I mean, that's a fair... I mean, failsafe, unfortunately, is going to be in the main story a little bit, because he was in the Free Comic Book Day thing, but at the very least, and I said this when we did the Free Comic Book Day tease, is that, well, I don't like failsafe, it does make sense that his views would align with Amanda Waller. Like, there is a logic to it, but...
Sure. But do I need a failsafe featured spin-off?
Probably not.
No, but I feel like each of these, judging from the last ones, each of these is a different one of those characters. So they're almost like one-shots, but they're numbered.
Okay.
Not like one-shots.
Don't get me wrong. Good writer. I'm interested. But
I don't know if Pornsak Picheshote, I'm probably butchering that, if they're good. I don't know.
He wrote
The Good Detectives.
Agent.
Oh,
Good
okay.
Agent was the detective, the last stuff.
Okay.
Very, very good.
Absolute Power Origins issue 2. Another tie-in, of course. This is focusing on Amanda Waller. That's John Ridley, so that could be a more worthwhile thing. Connor could shut his mouth because we've got a new Tom King announcement. A new 6-issue Prestige miniseries. Tom King writing with Jeff Spokes on art, and it is Jenny Sparks. So
let's go.
I
know
don't
Jenny
think
Sparks
Tom
is
King
now.
knows that the Wildstorm was supposed to be satire. I think he thinks it's genuine.
Right.
I don't think so, because judging from outsiders in the weaving of Wildstorm characters, I can definitely see him doing things with Jenny Sparks that match that tone.
Yes, but I think his views, him as a person, he is the satire. Like, so yeah, like that. That's why I just this. There's me not liking Tom King books in general, and then there's me thinking this is an objectively awful choice for him. Like,
I don't give a shit about Jenny Sparks, but I've not given a shit about a lot of characters Tom King's written about that I've ended up really liking. Do you think I cared about Human Target before I read Human Target? No.
Nope.
So I
actively disliked Rorschach until his Rorschach book, and then when I saw what he did, I was like, oh, it clicks. So, from my very limited knowledge of Jenny Sparks, and already enjoying most of what King does, I'm very curious to see where this goes.
Yeah. I don't really know much about it. In fact, honestly, I saw this announcement with just the image, and I genuinely didn't know who it was. I'm like, who's the character? Someone actually say the character for me.
Yeah, so you remember the Sentry baby that we got introduced to in Outsiders? What was that, 5?
Yes, I do.
This was the previous Sentry baby.
Oh, okay, interesting.
So, yeah. So I don't know how it's going to play in with the Outsiders and all of that stuff, but she represents the 20th century.
It won't play in with Outsiders at all if any of Tom King's previous works.
It'll be standalone. It'll be standalone, yeah. I'm sure of it.
Well, what I mean is playing with Outsiders, I mean the whole idea of the Sentry babies and all this other stuff. I don't think it's necessarily going to tie in, but to see where he takes this and, but it seems like it's doing superhero stuff too, because the solicit talks about Captain Atom going rogue. So we'll see.
Yeah, I'll tell you this. If I had a war chest of money, I would buy like 400 copies of the Gilliam March variant and send a copy every month to Connor's house, just forever.
Dodgy dot my address.
That is a very, very expensive prank, and I'm here for it.
Yeah, the financials don't support it right now, but I just wanted you to know I had the thought. Like, not only am I sending the new Tom King book, I'm sending the one with the Gilliam March cover, just for the extra.
And the variants are $6, so
Oof.
That's again,
yeah. That's you monster.
That's rough. All right, Gotham City Sirens. We talked about this announcement last week. So the regular Catwoman, Poison Ivy, and Harley books are all taking a month off, and they're doing this for 1 month instead, where it's like a 4-part weekly series for 1 month. So not much to say. Leah Williams,
written by Leah Williams.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because she's not writing like all the other books.
Well, I think is she doing all 4 issues? I can't remember. I think last week.
She's doing all 4, and it's rotating artists.
That's right. That's right.
So,
that's right.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, for some reason they've split these up. The rest of these issues are further down the solicit, so I'll just mention them briefly when we get there. But yeah. So we got absolute. Sorry, want to go?
Oh, I was like, I'm gonna need that Dotson's cover. I said it last week, but yeah.
Sure. That's all. Absolute Power Task Force 7.5. Again, for some reason, things that are shipping more than one issue, they've split up because they wanted to highlight all the first ones, I guess. But that's there. We have Batman 151. Chip Zdarsky's Reign of Terror continues. So...
Is that
Mike Hawthorne art?
It looks like Bizarro.
Looks like Bizarro, but he has a metal arm.
What's going on?
I don't know. I don't want to know.
Why is this book still going?
Well, because it's Batman, Connor, and see, people are not judicious.
Okay, I understand why Batman is still going, but why is Zdarsky's Batman still going?
Because people remember that his Daredevil was good, and they just keep hoping that it's going to turn into it.
Daredevil was good.
I feel like this happens with Batman a lot, that the writers get in a holding pattern, because this happened with Tynan, right? Tynan's was only supposed to go X amount, and then they kept him on. I'm hoping that we get a change up outside of the event ending.
Oh, that'd be good. I'd hope so, but we'll see.
Thanks.
We'll see. Superman 17. Looks like Zatanna's tagging along for this story, so cool. And it does mention Absolute Power too, so it does seem like the events of that are going to ripple into the books maybe a little bit.
Oh, is that a Sejic cover with Zatanna? So they've returned now that you can click through. That is gorgeous.
It is gorgeous.
Is that the one? Is that
with
the one
all the street?
Yeah, with the Superman cape.
All the capes coming out of the hat. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, like a magician pulling out all this. Yeah. Okay. Yes. That's nice. Wonder Woman 12, which will probably end up being the best book of that month. Shut your face, Connor.
It definitely won't.
It's Wonder Woman teaming up with Robin. Yes, it will.
And then we get, oh man, this Green Lantern cover. Green Lantern 14. Hal in the Jet. Looks good.
That's good.
Yeah.
Very good.
Although it's, that must be the backup.
It'll be the backup. Don't worry. Uncle Googie's not doing the main story. He's just doing the backup.
It is the backup.
Okay.
It's fine. It's fine.
That made me a little bit nervous.
We just talking about the Somni variant as well.
Oh,
yes.
Let me click through here. Oh, yeah.
Very good.
Very good.
But
yeah.
The way that it's playing with the light on there too, in the shadows, very Somni.
Yep. 0 Hour 30th Anniversary Special Issue 1, a new 80-page book by Dan Jurgens and Ron Mars.
Why?
Because it's the 30th anniversary.
Who cares? It's zero.
God, I'm gonna get tricked into reading this.
Writers Dan Jurgens and Ron Mars return to the world of Zero Hour with an art team compiled of an all-star DC talent to celebrate the landmark anniversary. What repercussions will their story today have for those for tomorrow? Find out in this oversized special, packed with action with your favorites from the 90s.
Yeah, this is like the mid-90s, the comic book.
Yeah.
I mean, Jurgens and Mars, and then art by Jurgens, Daryl Bank, Jerry Ordway, Paul Pelletier, Kelly Jones, and more.
Oh, are we into mid-90s nostalgia now?
I feel like people are.
I think kind of. I feel like the 80s nostalgia is never leaving. I feel like that's just going to be cyclical, but it does feel like some 90s stuff is now kind of nostalgic.
Also, Jurgens is very good at it, too. So, because the Death of Superman stuff wasn't terrible. Like, I wouldn't recommend it exactly, but I don't feel bad for to have read it. Like, it was at least interesting. So Jurgens is decent at writing in that style. So.
All right, DC versus Vampires World War V issue 1. So this is conflicting because Rosenberg did the back half of the book, which at least me and Matt thought was a big downstep. Yeah, from the first half. But that said, though,
I don't know if I finished it. I might have one issue left. I just kind of kept putting off because I didn't need to read it. And
I guess the potential here for it to be better is that Rosenberg isn't being just sort of brought in to finish off someone else's story. Maybe with some time to actually craft a story out of it, this might actually be a good miniseries. So I'm not against trying it. And Otto Schmidt on art's not a bad selling point either.
Yeah,
so
that's cool.
It's cool. That cover's all right as well. So
if that comes out on a busy week, I won't feel bad not getting to it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be giving it a try.
14th, so it's gonna be like a week 2. How week 2's been recently?
Quiet, but I mean, I don't know what it's going to be like once all these event tie-ins and whatnot are out. Dark Knights of Steel, All Winter issue 2. Also, but just for the record, I think that World War V is meant to be issue 2 because it says 2 of 6 in the description, and I feel like we did see an issue of it already. So I think that's just a typo in the title.
I don't know. The rest of the solicit makes it sound like the first issue. The Smash Hit series returns.
Well, in that case,
might be. It still is a typo, but just
just
I think it's the 2 of 6 is the typo. Yeah.
Fair enough. But we definitely heard about this book happening before, which is why I'm thinking we've already.
Yeah, there was probably an announcement already. Yeah.
Dark Knights of Steel All Winter issue 2. This is the sequel to Dark Knights of Steel, obviously. So
Viking Deathstroke. I'm here for it.
Yeah.
Yep.
I like Christoph as an author. I don't know what he's like in comics.
Okay.
Yeah,
I think
interesting.
he did one issue in like one of the tie-in issues in Dark Knights of Steel before, or one of the specials, or something.
Maybe one of the stories in the anthology special that they did like halfway through. Yeah.
So what do you know Christoph from?
He has a series of books called like the Nevernight trilogy. I want to say fantasy novels.
Okay.
Which makes sense for this world. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm interested to see Taylor with a co-writer, if that's how this is working.
I'm assuming. Well, I actually don't know which way around this is because
they list him first.
He's a novelist, so it could be his ideas and Taylor doing the script. It'd be a weird, or it'd just be Taylor his universe, his outline, and ideas, and Christoph coming in doing the hard work.
Yeah, Taylor and the Solicits gets most of the shine, though. So it says superstar writer Tom Taylor returns to the world of Dark Knights of Steel with Federici to tell the story of an orphan child.
Oh, actually, it's 40 pages. Is it possible Christoph's doing a backup?
Oh, they could both be having a story, yeah.
Yeah, I could see that. One of them's got Federici on art as well, so that might be exciting.
I'll look at Federici's with Tom Taylor, so yeah.
Yeah. Batman Gotham by Gaslight, The Kryptonian Age, issue 3. So yeah, these Elseworld books, not started yet, but we'll see how it is.
I know it's not, but that's a very Frank Miller-esque cover.
With the shield, yeah.
Yeah, in a good way. Like it reminds me like good Frank Miller.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it.
Do you know, the variant, I'd say looks quite good, except for Batman looking very wide. He's got a really wide face on that cover, but otherwise it looks quite nice. The lantern anyway, Detective Comics 1088, art by Gilliam March. Oh, you just broke my heart.
Why is March on the penultimate issue of Ramby's perfect run? Why?
Because scheduling's tough, I guess. I get
it. The man is the definition of on time and under budget.
Yeah, I like the Mr. Freeze cover. Like,
Yeah?
that's kind of cool. But
yeah, but that's not a March cover, is it? So
no, of course not. And then the variant's quite nice as well with Batman in the desert. But anyway, yeah, okay. Well, that's a shame, but hey, I'm excited for Ram V's. Like, you know, we'll be finding out who's taking over Detective soon. Then, if we're soliciting the penultimate issue,
you probably next month they'll probably tell us. Once they solicit the last issue, usually. Yeah.
Batman and Robin issue 12. Oh, I watched the ad, really.
It's a good cover again.
Oh, Faria on art's kind of interesting, actually.
Yeah,
that's cool.
I might have to pop onto that one because Damien's going to Dinosaur Island. So
Faria and dinosaurs. Matt has to jump in.
Obviously.
I'm a simple man. I like what I like.
Has Matt not been reading that book?
No.
I've been going solo on that.
Oh, really? That seems like such a typical Matt book.
I enjoy listening to Pete tell me about it.
He does. He gets all excited. When I told him there was some kid that might be Zazzy's son at one point, he got all ooh and ah about it.
That's what I mean. Like, I just assumed that's such a. If there was one of you reading that book, I would have put money on Matt.
Nope. Okay, I'm reading Blue Beetle.
Yeah, he's reading Blue Beetle.
Once I realized Starfire was in that book, that made sense.
Yeah. Nightwing 117. This is a penultimate issue at Taylor's Nightwing. So we're going to have Ram V's Detective and Taylor's Nightwing ending in the same month. That's heartbreaking.
Well, guys, that'll be my last show then, because there's no point to keep going.
I mean, you say that, but I mean, not only does it mean a new team on Nightwing potentially, but it means probably a new book by Taylor afterwards, and same with Ram V.
What if they just swap books? Ram V at Nightwing and
That would be
Taylor
good,
at Tech?
That would be really funny.
I think Tom Taylor on Tech is not an out there possibility.
No, it's not.
He's been progressing upwards. Ram V, I think, I expect him to shift to something weirder.
Yeah.
Well, again,
here's the thing though. I think Tom Taylor's higher on the pecking order than Ram V is right now. I know Detective's arguably the bigger name book, but
I mean,
Tom Taylor's absolutely more high profile, which is why I say I can see him going to Detective. And it's not that I don't see Ram V taking the perceived step down to Nightwing. I think he's perfectly appropriate for that level.
He's definitely a Vertigo. Yeah, he's a Vertigo type writer where he's going to want to do something like Jonah Hex. Or something along those lines.
I think it's very likely Ram V will end up with a couple of new books. So one will be a bit higher profile, whatever character that might be, and then the other one will be, Vigil Part 2 or whatever.
Yeah, I think even if it's a high profile character, it's going to be a side. But I don't see him taking on another like Superman or Action, for example.
Sure.
I think they've done this quote unquote weird experiment, with him on Tech, because his Tech has been kind of out there compared to most of those big books, and I don't think it's been like a failure. I think critically very successful, but I think they'll want something a bit more mainstream back on their main books again.
Yeah, I mean Taylor on Detective would be like this is going to be a more normal but well written book than Ram V's weird
not
but well
necessarily
written
better or worse, but more.
Different.
I think Taylor's a safer choice for the mainstream, right?
I mean, Ram V we love on things like Swamp Thing. We love his weirder ideas. I'm sure there's maybe some characters who could fit into that mold if we sat and thought about it. But I mean, I'm sure.
And obviously, he's proven he can put Batman in that mold and make a successful story.
Yeah, for sure.
But I guarantee you, it being just a little bit weird has definitely put some people off buying that book.
You might end up in a few Black Label books as well. I could see him sort of rotating in and out of there.
Yeah, he did Andromeda. So.
That's right. I don't know. I mean, I do know that Ram V's been teasing that he's got new projects at DC. He always talks about how, I was breaking a new story today, or I've been writing something you don't know about yet, or so on. So we know stuff's coming. It's just a case of, like, what will it be? So, obviously I hope Nightwing and Detective get good replacements, whoever they may be. But I think the realest thing that is just exciting in general, without having to worry about it, is whatever those teams are doing next. Like, what's Taylor doing after Nightwing? What's Ram V doing after Detective? Because it seems like they're still both sticking around DC until we hear otherwise. But it seems like they're still happy at home there. So Batman Brave and the Bold issue 16. That's still going. You got Tim Seeley, Torun Grumbeck.
That's a Viking name.
I'll try. Yeah, oh, definitely is. Yeah.
His ancestors definitely raided the coast.
If I see that score through the
she's been working on a bunch of Marvel stuff over the last few years. I think she's working on. I think she did some stuff on Thor at one point, appropriately. I think it was around the time that that Donny Cates had to step away for a while.
Okay.
I don't know. I remember something was going on with him. He was like in hospital or something.
I think he got hit by a car or something. It was real bad. It was real scary.
Yeah, so I think she stepped in and did some stuff around there.
Interesting. Also, until you said it, I had no idea that was a woman. So
me neither.
Yeah.
Those Nordic names can go either way. You know.
So these are the rest of the Gotham City Sirens 2, 3, and 4. Birds of Prey issue 12 with a very colourful cover. I have to say, very different from what the books had up until this point. But I have faith in the book because it's been excellent.
It looks like My Little Pony.
It does. It's got like a very kiddie art
again,
style.
That's not a bad thing. That's presumably the aim.
Yeah, well, we know the dimension hopping and stuff. The cover with Cass and Bard is quite nice, though.
Yes. I don't know whose that is, but I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, but it looks like we're getting bird imps, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
Imps
that looks
chibi.
Looks fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's cool. Outsiders issue 10. It hypes up the last 3 issues, says grappling with the shocking revelations of the last 3 issues. I won't read any more, but so stuff's coming.
It's a great cover as well.
Oh yeah, the drumstick shatter on the planet. Yeah, not bad at all. But
that's one of those covers that, like, if you're in with the context of the book in general, like, that's a big cover. If not, it's a pretty cool image.
Yeah, for sure.
And Matt had me convinced that issue 5 Off-World was the last one, and here we are with Solicit issue 6.
Yeah, it felt like that.
It says it's a surprising finale. Maybe it's a surprise issue.
No, I think clearly there must have just been a delay after issue 5 because I hadn't been solicited for a little bit. But here it is, issue 6. So cool, that's ended in August then. Batman Dark Age issue 5. This is the Mark Russell and Mike Allred book. Action Comics 1068. Simone's little tenure continuing.
Yeah, but Rainbow Rowell.
I don't know who that is.
Everything I've tried from her has been awful, and then there was all the like racism controversy around her about a year or 2 ago.
Okay.
It was a whole big thing. Yeah.
Oh, Matt's camera's.
I hit the wrong button. I meant to. Yeah.
You try and mute yourself for a cough. Camera. Yeah.
So instead, you turn the camera off and coughed at okay, that's beautiful. Beautiful. Batman Superman World's Finest issue 30, and much like they did the first Batman Superman team up story, it looks like they're doing the first Trinity team up story now in this book. So
let's go. I only got Gleb on the art.
Yeah, Mark Waid's still right.
For that.
Yeah.
Looks fun.
Power Girl issue 12. There's a big axe on the cover, so Matt's probably hyped.
And Travis Moore art. Okay. What did I do? Just coming up Millhouse.
Neil Before Zod issue 8. Surprised that's still going past issue 6.
That wasn't a 6-issue mini.
I know.
Okay.
You would have had me believe
Zod
it.
versus Sinestro. Of course.
Yeah. The Flash issue 12. That's a thing. Still talking about Archangels. Not Archangels. Archangels. This messes me up every time I go to read it.
I'm hooked in. I'm going to have to get here.
I did not realize that, and now every time I see it, in my head, it's just the Hot Fuzz reference.
Yeah, the joke. I just watched Hot Fuzz actually this past week, so it's fresh in my head as well. Sergeant Angle.
Never a bad time to watch Hot Fuzz.
Never. Yeah, I actually just dropped this book because of the annual. Made me quit it.
Oh, really? After all that praise you were giving when I was saying it was awful.
Right, to be fair,
it wasn't for the reasons that you were saying. It was for very, different.
Yeah, it wasn't unanimous praise either. There was caveats. It wasn't like there wasn't.
What was the reason for dropping it in the end?
It just kept getting messier and messier and more convoluted. And...
a lot of things. Well, Pete summed it up perfectly by it feels like Spurrier wants you to read every issue before you read the next issue.
Yeah.
Again. So there's a lot of stuff, and it's just so much to remember. And it's going in a bunch of different directions, and it's hard to keep it straight, especially that annual. So
yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah, just done. Titans 14. Obviously,
some great variants again.
Yeah, just continuing our story that's going on that I've been really enjoying. I think that book has only gotten better since Beast World. So, good stuff.
I spaced that they did the whole Swamp Thing back a couple issues ago. So to see him pop back up, it was a nice surprise.
Yeah. No, because I liked the first arc, but I think Beast World was really good, and then the book since then, it feels like it's set its foundation for what it wants to be doing, and I've been enjoying how they've been playing that off. Okay, next up we have Green Lantern War Journal issue 12, which I believe is the final issue. It doesn't say
it says at the end of the solicit.
Yeah, they've stopped putting that final issue thing right in the easy part that you can see. But
just infer it now.
It did say last time it's now a 12-issue limited series, so hopefully Johnson's...
I'm not surprised by that though.
Oh sure, yeah, I'm not necessarily that shocked.
Not a matter of quality. I think it's a really solid book, but it had the makings of a 12-issue series.
Yeah. I do wonder, or I hope that Johnson gets something else after. I would like him to keep doing stuff at DC.
Yeah. Yep.
But how is the next book not a 12-issue series?
Well, this was meant to be a 6-issue series. This was meant to be done at 6 issues, and then he said, now it's an ongoing. And that is Green Arrow, which is now on issue 15.
Bloody hell.
Oh, the Williamson fatigue is strong. And 2 of the books I read this week were Williamson, so strap in for later, everyone. Justice Society of America, issue 12. Nice
Which
cover.
is the final issue.
Does it say that? Oh, it does say that.
It does.
I mean, given how long it was taking to get some of the issues out, I guess it had to happen. I have been enjoying the book, though. It just, delays have hurt a bit.
A Jeff Johns book took time to come out.
As much as I like it, I don't remember what happened in the last issue. Because it's been so long.
I mean, that's fair. It'll come flitting back once you look at a few pages in the next one. I guarantee it.
That said, Jeremy Adams has said that he's not writing Justice Society, so because they're going to keep it going. So there'll be a relaunch soon.
Sure. Why is Jeremy Adams saying he's not doing it?
Well, so when it got announced that this was John's last issue, I thought this was knowledge at this point. This is a couple weeks old. They had asked Jeremy Adams, someone had asked him, hey, so you're going to take over Justice Society? And he said, unfortunately, no, he has other things going on right now. So there is going to be a Justice Society ongoing, but not by Adams.
Well, hopefully someone good gets strapped to it. Shazam issue 14. I see alligatory, crocodile things on the cover, which is always fun. Shazam. We got My Adventures with Superman issue 3, obviously tying into the animated show, Josie Campbell.
A very fun animated show.
Yeah, I've not watched it. I've heard.
I've watched about half the first season because I took it on my lunch break occasionally. It's really fun.
Yeah, I mean the fact that it's Josie Campbell does make me want to try the comic, and I know she's working on the show. I think, if I'm correct in saying. So curious. From the DC Vault, Death in the Family, Robin Lives, issue 2.
Yep, this is the thing that they are doing where, right, what if the people had dialed that Jason Todd survived the Joker's beating and blowing up?
That's right, okay.
So they're going into that and giving us the alternate, which I think is a fun concept. I don't want to read it, but I think that's cool.
Well, here's something you want to read. The Nice House by the Sea, issue 2, the sequel to Nice House by the Lake.
What a good puppy.
Yeah.
It's a scary beach,
definitely
but
not going to be sinister, right?
No, not at all. Can't imagine an issue of that book being anything but happy and fluffy. It's not like there was self-harm and depression and all sorts of things in that first 12-issue series.
That comedian guy was getting them, Action Comic #1 sent to the house, so there was some joy in there.
We got Zatanna Bring Down the House, issue 3 of 5. This is the Tamaki book that's upcoming. So
monthly. I assumed that was like bi-monthly, but
no, I think it's monthly.
Must be if it's on 3 already.
Yeah, I mean it's 5 issues, so presumably even though it's labeled as Black Label, it's not, because it's still only like
standard 32 pages solicited, which means like 20 pages. So why the hell is it $6?
I'm assuming that it is bigger format, like page-wise, like page size.
Nope.
Doesn't look like it. Usually that'll say like prestige or.
I don't know. Maybe it's just a typo. I mean, check issue 2 from the last solicits. Maybe it's just a hiccup. It's not like we've not encountered a typo already on this solicit.
Those variant covers, you got a Lotte and a Dotson. So.
All three covers are fantastic.
Yeah. All right. So the Boy Wonder issue 4 that just started last time. It was a pretty solid first issue, and similarly, it's black label, but it's a little. Although to be fair, maybe they're just regular size after the first issue. But issue 1 of that was bigger than a regular size issue, but it wasn't as big as like the 60-page black label books. It was like 35 pages, but it was like 35 pages of content. I'm wondering if maybe they're doing a thing with these black label books. Maybe the reason why it costs more is because there's like no ads, so it's actually 32 pages of content.
But both of those are saying 32 pages, whereas this one's $4.99 as opposed to the $5.99 of this.
It could still be a typo.
It could be. That is actually a possibility. I've not checked.
But having read issue 1 of Boy Wonder, it was longer than standard, but not as long as the bi-monthly big super sized ones. John Constantine Hellblazer Dead in America issue 8. And we got some facsimile editions, all new collector's edition 56. This is the Superman versus Muhammad Ali issue. And there's Primer, Clashing Colors, Teen Titans Starfire, that's one of the graphic novels, the young adult ones. Same with Batman, Robin and Howard, Summer Breakdown issue 2. And we got Primer, Clashing Colors issue 2, Super Pets Special, Identity Crisis, very funny.
That's amazing.
They're really stretching with the puns.
Really stretching that one. Batman Scooby-Doo Mysteries issue 8, Scooby-Doo Where Are You 129, and then Police Comics issue 1 facsimile edition, and that wraps up the singles. So I'll just give you a quick rundown of the collected editions. I don't think there was that many of them from when I glimpsed at this yesterday.
Nothing's jumping out as amazing either.
Yeah, Suicide Squad, Kill Arkham Asylum, Superman 78, The Metal Curtain. These are just softcover collections of recent, minis and books. Alan Scott, Green Lantern, softcover. Catwoman Volume 4, softcover. Harley Quinn Volume 1, softcover. Speed Force, softcover. Green Arrow Volume 2, softcover. Elseworlds Batman Volume 2, new printing. Batman the Cult Deluxe Edition. So that's a classic story getting reprinted. House of Secrets 92 facsimile edition. Why wasn't that up there with the other facsimile editions? We play that.
That's weird.
Same with Crisis on Infinite Earths 5. All right. Absolute Batman 0 Year. You cannot.
Interesting choice for an absolute.
Yeah, honestly, my first thought of that is it's such a premium format for a story that I would call as a borderline turd.
But you gotta think, you got the art by Capullo and Albuquerque.
I don't care.
So,
I
don't look good, but
yeah, I don't care. I'm still going to not like the book.
0 Year's one of those things that I get angry when I get reminded it happened.
Oh, it's so
I don't dislike it as much as you two, but. There are other things I would give an absolute to before this.
Yeah,
lots of other things.
American Vampire Book 1. This is a new printing or a new way of collecting at least the run. This is one of those big thick soft covers. It's about 350 pages. So
good, because there were some. I think a lot of the other editions are out of print.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the first 12 issues. So yeah, I mean, if they keep going at that, they'll reasonable number of books. Probably about 5. So I mean, because there's
like 30 odd for the first.
Because that's 1 and 2, and then the second one would be 2 and 3. But then once you get to Volume 3 and 5 also have minis in them in the original book. So I don't know how they're going to split that up. They might end up, I don't know. Like book 2 could just be what originally Volume 3 was because it's got a mini in there as well. They might not beef it up anymore. I don't know. Animal Man by Grant Morrison and Chaz Truog Compendium. So this is one of your big omnibus size soft covers, which is always weird.
That's a horrific size for a soft cover.
Absolutely.
712 pages.
Why would you want to read that?
Yeah, because the spine's just going to crease if it's that thick.
Right? Okay. I say that in the semi-privileged position of having that version in omnibus, of that run.
Yeah.
And it's a good size omnibus. It's not like because there are some omnis that are like over 1,000 pages, and I think those are too big for an omni. I think up to like 750 is a nice size.
I mean, I think you can go to 1,000 for an omni. I think 1,000's fine. I think it's when you get to the 1,500 sort of levels that you're just
too big,
taking
way
the
too big.
piss.
I think like the 1,200 ones, I think, are stretching it for me.
I mean, this is going to be 27 issues, right? Because it's the first 26 plus Secret Origins 39, which is
I think if you're doing soft covers of this, you have to split it in two and do like two 350-ish page books.
Which they've already done.
Well, okay. Well, in that case, reprint them. Like,
but assuming they're still in print, people just buy those.
Yeah.
Just buy those instead. Don't buy this.
Or the omnibus if it's in print as well.
Unless you want a massive book to, I don't know, kill a horse with, just buy the other ones.
Here's an interesting one.
Experience.
Aquaman by Peter David omnibus. Now, this is a 1,500-page omnibus, so they wanted to do it all in one book, which is a bit too hefty. But it is interesting that they're doing this because a lot of this has never been collected before. And it even says at the bottom, 30 before never collected issues. So
I like that they're collecting them. Split in two. Just split in two.
Yeah, I think, for whatever reason, DC decided that 1,500's a size they're okay getting up to. So they only split it if it would be bigger than that, if they didn't. So, like, for example, the Silver Age World's Finest omnibus here, that one's actually quite small. It's only 632 pages. That's actually weird. Okay.
Very, very manageable.
Okay, the Constantine omnibus here is 1,100 pages, and that's volume 1, right? That's Hellblazer by Jamie Delano omnibus. That's one where I'm like, okay, that's at least 2 books because they realize, this is like 2,400 pages, so we have to split this in 2. But for whatever reason, they decided that if it's 1,500 pages for the whole thing, that's what they'll just put out. I'm not saying that's the right decision, necessarily, but... they've been consistent with that, though, because even going all the way back about a decade ago when they were putting out John's Teen Titans, that was like 1,500 pages in one book.
I know that they always have done. I just disagree with their limit. I think 1,000 should be the absolute max.
And then we got Legion of Superheroes, The Great Darkness Saga. We got Midnight Mass. We got The Filth, which is a new edition, Grant Morrison book. The Flash by Mark Waid omnibus volume 2. That's 1,200 pages, and presumably there's at least a volume 3, I'd imagine, for that still to come. But cool that they're doing that in that format. And there's the Joker, The Man Who Stopped Laughing, the complete series, which is the Rosenberg book, 500-page softcover. Wonder Woman by George Perez, Volume 1, new edition. So this is the softcover they already put out a few years ago.
I think it's just a reprinting, yeah.
350 pages, which, again, I think that's like the upper limit.
It's a good collection for a paperback, for the thick paperbacks.
Yeah, I remember having some No Man's Land books once upon a time that were like 450, and those were okay, but that's like the absolute limit, I'd say, for a paperback.
Yeah, they're still quite a bit chunky, aren't they?
Yeah. But they weren't increasing this. But for me, where I see, because I remember the first time I ever saw a paperback like compendium, the first time I ever saw that for a comic was The Walking Dead. They did like the big. I
think they might have popularized it. I think Kirkman did, because he had the 2 main compendiums I used to think of were that and Invincible.
Yeah, but that was like the first 8 regular volumes in one big paperback, and like
it was 50 issues, wasn't it?
That sounds about right. Yeah, it was. Yeah. I mean, 6 times 8, basically, whatever that works out.
I'm sure it was 1 to 50, and then the second one went up to issue 100.
Because I'm like, as soon as I looked at it, as soon as you open that, the spine's just going to crease. It's just going to like fold, and you're never going to get rid of that crease anymore. If you want a book that big, it should be a hardcover with sewn binding. But
which I get has its downsides. It's more expensive, but also, who's enjoying reading those? Like I get the value proposition, but there's a point where you should just buy 2 smaller ones instead of 1 massive one.
Yeah, there's a sweet spot, and different people have different sweet spots, but I think most people think that once you're getting over 1,200 pages, they're just a bit too chunky.
Yeah.
So, all right, there you go. That's the solicits for August. Nothing too surprising. A couple of books coming to an end, which we kind of expected, which might open the doors for going forward, but maybe the real news here is that either next solicits or possibly the solicits after, we will get who's replacing Nightwing and Detective and what those writers might be getting on to, assuming they're coming straight away. Sometimes there's a little bit of a gap, but, we'll see.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see who does replace them. Like I expect Detective to have a more mainstream writer for it.
Mhm.
Unless they decide to do something like they did with Action, with the year of rotating.
They may. I would be less excited by that because
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
not that thrilled about it in Action either. But
It's not been great so far. Who's the third writer?
Gil Simone's the third.
Oh yeah.
So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming Nightwing's going to continue as a book, but it also wouldn't completely shock me if they say, no, we're going to sunset Nightwing for a bit. It wouldn't surprise me either.
They could, but I think it's been pretty consistent. I mean, maybe it's just the Tom Taylor name that's kept it such a high sell. But I think it's been a high enough seller they'll want to continue it. And then if it drops off too hard with whoever's new, then they might just decide to cancel it after that.
Yeah. All right. There you go. That is actually, did you read you probably didn't because you've not caught up on it, but did you read the Nightwing Annual from last month?
Not yet, no.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see what you think of that when you get to it.
Yeah, me too.
Why?
There's reasons.
I'm concerned.
No, don't be concerned.
It's just it's easily the most critical we've been of anything. I mean, to be fair, it wasn't Taylor that wrote it, right? The first up, that's
okay.
It was Travis Moore.
Yeah, Travis Moore wrote it.
Okay.
And it does tie into things.
Yep.
But
so I can't skip it, so I do need to read it.
Well, I'd say you probably could skip it, but you shouldn't because your opinion would be interesting.
I would. I mean, I have the physical issue. I'm going to read it. It's just a case of I was catching up on other books as well. I just prioritized in the end what I needed to. But I'm not actually that far behind on most DC books now. It's only like a couple issues at most.
Okay.
It's good. Yeah, it just there's a significant amount of Rick Grayson.
oh God.
So,
how has it been like 5 years and they're still Rick Graysoning?
Well, I mean, that's not spoil. That's not spoil. He'll discover it when he reads it. But I did title the episode that went out that week as a memory down Rick Grayson, or a trip down Rick Grayson Lane was the title of the episode.
Bloody bullet.
But yeah, because we were shocked to find out that the creators or the credit of creation of some of those characters went to Travis Moore. So I thought that's a pretty fun roundabout way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's get on to the books then, shall we? It is that time of the week. Starting off with Action Comics 1065, Joshua Williamson writing with Rafa Sandoval and Miguel Medonca on the art. So this is part 3 of House of Brainiac, and we had the cliffhanger last time of Supergirl and Connor Kent getting out of the bottles but being shrunk, Honey I Shrunk the Kids style, and having to run around Brainiac's ship, while Superman and Lobo were being attacked by the Zarnians on their way to Brainiac's ship. And I've been saying it every time, I'm waiting for Williamson to ruin it, because I actually kind of enjoyed the first 2 parts.
I was really mixed. I liked the first part quite a lot, and then the second part I wasn't as hot on.
So here's the thing. I wouldn't say this issue shits the bed, but I will say some of my gremlins with Williamson's writing do rear their head. And that being, he introduces something, and in this case it's like, okay, Supergirl and Connor kind of shrunk down and they have to sneak about Brainiac's ship. And not only that, quite quickly in the story, once they've like got their footing and they realise, oh shit, we have to hide from things and whatnot, they realise that some of the villains that Brainiac's kidnapped are full size. So maybe we can go to like ones that are can be allies. You know, Parasite and Livewire are working with Superman. Maybe we can talk into them for help. And I'm like, okay, this is a fascinating thing you've set up here. You're relying on these 2 kind of villains now to basically be trustworthy because the 2 heroes are shrunk down and have to trust them. That could lead to such a potentially great story, and it's over in such a quick like succession of pages. Like you literally just, they find the armory, oh, this gun might make you big again. Cut to next page, they're already big again. You set up this interesting premise of them working together, and you just completely just took it away immediately.
There is literally not even 1 full page of them working together.
Yeah.
They break them out, and on the very next page, it's not even the last panel on that page, but on that very last page is when that panel is where they shoot them with the embiggening gun.
Yes.
Well, only one way to find out.
Like, how do you not do a moment?
5 panels of them working together.
How do you not do a moment in this story where it looks like they can't trust the villains, only to reveal that the villains were actually doing something to help them? How do you not have that moment?
Because the fact that, Parasite was the first obstacle that Williamson wrote in Superman, right? When everyone turned into Parasite. So he's been there from the beginning. And so you would think like, oh, well, maybe this is Parasite's chance to, not play along. And there's none. Although we do get a great visual of Connor riding on Parasite's shoulder, so at least there's that.
The thing is, like, obviously you presumably want to go down the route of, well, no, of course they're not going to turn on them. They're semi-good right now. But you could at least play with the idea of, oh, hang on, this is the first time that they're in a position of power in the scenario.
That's what makes it interesting, is they're in this position where they can like overpower the heroes, and they can just turn on them. And you do something with that, and this is my frustrating thing with this, is that up until the moment where they just magically find the guns and it's already over, I was really into it, because I'm like, okay, they've formed this alliance, it's uneasy, and the good thing that might come out of this is that by the end of this issue, or whenever this part of the story is over, this could be where Livewire and Parasite prove that they can be trusted. Like, that could be the heart sort of like felt bit by the end of it. It's like, hey, no, they've proven by the end of this that they can be allies and that they should be trusted in some form or another. But instead, it's just already over, and they're just like marching together the very next page. And I'm like, you gave me this interesting setup, and then you just completely just like...
And for nothing, for an action sequence. Yeah. Like, there's nothing interesting going on. It's literally them fighting Brainiac drones.
I don't even think I can say he whiffed it, because whiffing it would be trying to do what I expected him to do and it just not being good. This is different. This is him just tangent. He just pivots immediately.
The swerve is there is no swerve. So.
Oh, it's so frustrating. Like, even when Williamson sets up something good, he finds a way to disappoint me.
Because the way that they ended that last issue with them being small and you saying Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, I wanted more of that. Them finding stuff on the ship. And then, we could have had an extended sequence with them, and us getting a little bit more of the mystery of why Brainiac's doing what he's doing.
That could be a whole freaking arc of like two super characters shrunk down and sneaking around Brainiac's ship trying to find a way to get big again. That could be a whole story. Yeah.
It could, but the idea that in a story that's spanning 2 books, you can't even dedicate 1 issue to that. Not even half an issue to that.
Right. Not even more than a page. Like.
Well, I mean, just in terms of like how many pages in this issue are them being small. You got the very first page that kind of establishes the scene, and then you cut away to Superman and Lobo. Right. So you got 1 page. The second page is where they're like, right, let's get the villains out. So the 4th page now we're on is where they break them out, and then the 5th page, they're back up to full size.
Yeah.
It's 5 pages.
Oh, it's so frustrating. I'll be talking about the same problem in Batman and Robin later. Don't worry. I've got things to say.
I will say, though, that I do like that Supergirl and her ties to Brainiac with the whole Argo City stuff. I do like their confrontation.
Sure.
So, just not a constant reminder, just the way that it's handled. But the mystery of Brainiac and what he's actually up to, I do like that there's still a sense of mystery to it, that we haven't figured out exactly what's going on. And that gets even complicated more by the backup.
I'm looking at this page with them riding on their shoulders, and I'm just annoyed again, because I'm like, they're so vulnerable. They're so vulnerable right now, and that's so.
And they don't even have the powers either.
Yeah, it's so ripe for story.
Yeah. Yep.
God damn it.
There's that, and the fact too, like, you got to think too that Livewire has been trying to be good, right? Because she's been working with Lois at the planet. And then of course you always have Parasite, who's always a wild card, right? He's fine until he gets hungry, so he's a lot like me. Yeah.
Also, but I didn't like is almost immediately Supergirl just gets like grabbed by the Brainiac's drones and like tentacles and stuff. Just grab her, and that's her. She's beat already. Now, admittedly, they've set up they don't have their powers right now, so whatever. Yeah. But she's taken into the room, and because Brainiac's got Lex there working on stuff, she's immediately like, "Oh, you were working with him the whole time, weren't you, Luthor?" And like, I get why she'd make some sort of accusation like that, right, and be skeptical of him. That's fine. But I really dislike Lex Luthor's like dialogue here, where he just sort of says, "I work for no one, and you'll never understand, so shut it." I'm like, That doesn't sound like Lex. Shut it. I don't know. It's weird to me.
Because I feel like
if I'm being generous, that's maybe intentional with him trying to be like, hey, look, this is not normal. Go along with things.
Okay, I mean, yeah, it's been generous.
I am being generous, I admit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's along the lines, too, that Lex here, when he's, telling her to shut it, it was more like, you Kryptonians never understand. That's something that I would expect to hear from Lex, where it could be a little bit more coded. Like Connor's saying, give him the benefit of the doubt. But here, it seems really out of place.
Yeah, I feel like the atmosphere that you want to go for here in this moment is that of unease again. You're going for the idea that Supergirl thinks, oh, Lex has just been a bad guy again. Yep. And Lex is maybe trying to somehow tell her that he's not there to be a bad guy, but without alerting Brainiac that he's given her information or something. There's maybe something you could do with that. But anyway, basically, Brainiac's city that he took from Kolu is explored, and they have a look at it.
Oh, the Omega Titans. When was the last time you heard about those?
Well, no. I also want to point out here that a lot of the dialogue brings up Legion of Superhero Planets, right? You got Rimbor, you got Brawl, you have Kalu. I'm starting to get some Legion of Superhero vibes. And maybe not in the best way, because I still think Bendis have a little bit of shock there. But I just, with everything with Supergirl and Brainiac and all of this other stuff and the familiarity with all of them.
The sad part is the end of this part of the story is Supergirl grabbing Lex and jumping into the Kolu city, right, where they're shrunk down. And I'm like, okay, Supergirl and Lex being forced to work together when she doesn't have her powers, and having a sort of aggressive relationship with each other does sound like an interesting setup. But
it'll be over in about 3 pages.
Yeah, it'll be over in half the issue at best. And
because Brainiac mentions that Luthor is no longer needed, shoot to kill. So again, now all of that tension that was between Kara and Lex is now gone, because now they're gonna have to be on the same side to survive.
Well, no, that's good. That's actually good, Matt. The problem is they won't develop it long enough to actually get to the meet where they actually learn to not be that with each other.
That's what I'm saying about there's being no tension with there, is they're not,
There's no reason for Kara to assume that Lex won't help her, because she's heard them say, well, let's kill Lex as well now. So she knows Lex is going to be on her side.
Why are we assuming she's heard that? I don't understand why we're assuming that.
I mean, they're trying to kill him, right, while she's there.
Yet? Does that happen yet?
Maybe.
It's right as they jump out, right? It's right as they jump out. So I mean, maybe she didn't hear.
I mean, they're already halfway falling through the sky at that point. So I would assume that they don't hear.
I forget she hasn't got a hearing right now. I suppose.
Yeah. So I think the setup of this is fine, but I think it's just another example of Williamson going from one interesting status quo, wasting it, to setting up another that's actually potentially interesting, and then I just don't trust him to actually follow through and actually do everything that he should do with it.
Because that's what he's been doing for years at this point.
It's actually shocking just how much he wastes. He actually comes up with good ideas and then wastes them all.
He is an ideas man.
He is.
But he has...
He's not an execution guy.
He's not. He's really not.
He would definitely thrive with a co-writer, because I feel like this happens in his...
I don't know if it's just a co-writer. I think it's more he just needs an editor who can be like, stop, slow down.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
I mean a co-creative in that way. That's someone that's going to help him develop things instead of just doing whatever. Because this is a problem also in his creator-owned stuff. This Nailbiter, Birthright. There would be these things that he set up, and you're like, oh, this is cool. But that's not what he's interested in. He's interested in wherever else, and it always feels like we're rushing along. New thing. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So...
And then the other half of this issue, after this stuff, is it's all Lobo. So
say no more.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm just not that interested.
Lobo's not annoying me as much as I thought. Maybe because all the other Zarnians are annoying.
Lobo versus not Lobo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I once they run into the other Zarnians, and obviously they've been talking to Space Cabbie. I mean, even the fact that we cut to this sort of a space station or whatever it is, and it's hey, yeah, this is we're it's like a truck stop in space. Tons of people stop here. Fair enough. As soon as we cut there, I'm oh right, they've lost the Brainiac ship and now they're having to find where it went. I'm okay. I mean, I guess that's fine, but I did feel like there was momentum before, and this feels like it's slowed right down. Like, for all the things I'm saying about Williamson going too fast, it feels like this side of the story is like, oh no, now we have to like try and hunt him down now. So we have to find out where he is. So so basically, Kratos here offers Lobo the new leadership of the Xarnians because he's getting old, and Lobo is like, I see what you're trying to do. He entertains it for a second, but but then
the fist,
like, right, let's team up and take out Superman. You can have my job.
Yeah, the fist bump thing, that like, I understand what they're doing there, and I feel like they're trying to do the Predator meme, but the proportions are off, and just that big metal arm is bothering me. You know, because had they just done that meme, I think it's fine.
Yeah, and obviously the joke here is that he sounds like he's about to reject him, and then he's like, no, you're right, let's do it. But of course, I'm kind of expecting that he's actually just playing him, and that he's actually still going to help Superman.
For all intents and purposes, at this point, Lobo is a hero. Like, yes, he's rough around the edges, but ultimately he does what's right. Every instance of Lobo showing up, he is not that dirtbag character they keep telling us he is. You know, so, but yeah, Kratos now. God, I went and learned that his name is General Chacal, and now, or Chacal, whatever it is, and now all I'm gonna think is Space Kratos. So thanks, Pete.
It was either Space Kratos or Triple H, but I went with Kratos. Yes. I thought he just looked a bit more like Kratos.
And I get this reference.
Clara gets this reference.
But he does look like Space Paul Levesque, so it definitely
obviously present day Paul Levesque, not in his prime, because
not DX long hair. You know, we're talking even the beard. Damn it! Now that's what I'm gonna see. I'm never gonna remember he's General Chacal after this. Not that he's ever important. I mean, he's
gone by the end of next issue. You'll never see him again anyway.
Maybe. Here's my issue with this too. Is it's along the same lines where once you start seeing there's so many Kryptonians in the universe, right?
Yeah.
It makes Superman and Supergirl feel less special because it's like, oh, okay, well, they're not.
Yeah.
Same with the Xarnians. What made Lobo work was
he's the only one.
Literally the only one, and he can regenerate from a blood drop. So, you know, that's how we get his daughter / clone or whatever, you know, with Crush. And when there's so many of him, now it makes Lobo seem less. So unless he takes out a whole bunch of them, but then that adds up to the whole, are they just going to regenerate? Are we going to be stuck with all of these Xarnians?
Like I love Brainiac as a character, but him having bottled cities from every planet that supposedly have been destroyed, and Matt, you're sniffing still. It's
a bit easy.
Sorry. Yeah.
It does make it just feel like he's too much of a useful device to just bring entire cultures back that are supposed to be dead.
And that's why I'm wondering about Legion stuff, if that's what Williamson is setting things up. So we all know that, like Johns, he loves, you know, continuity and playing with DC history. So I'm wondering if this is going to be the genesis, like, of a new version of the Legion, because we have the United Planet stuff going on still.
Yeah.
Right? Over in Green Lantern. So, and the Durlans. And now we have, you know, cities from Rimbor and Brawl and Titan and all these other, you know, Legion things. So,
another thought in the whole, like, planets or the cities, the shrunken cities thing, is that the first time it's like, okay, Kandor's there, Superman's got it in a bottle, and the idea being that they're trapped like that, and he just sort of keeps care of it so that they're fine,
like an ant farm.
Right? The problem is, though, is that the reason for that for a long time has always been, oh, one day I'll find a way to make them big again and like give them like a place to live and whatever. But in this issue, there's a gun. There's a Brainiac gun that just makes Supergirl and Superboy big again. It didn't seem that hard in retrospect.
No, and we've gotten the Kandor story before. Like, granted, now it's like 15 years ago, where they, you know, and they made them big, and there was the whole new Krypton and all the problems that came around too. So
yeah, I remember that era.
I mean, did he make the city big here again, or has he made them all small again?
He made them small to go into Kalu.
Okay, it wasn't that clear in the issue.
No,
I didn't think anyway. Because there was no.
I don't know what he needed Luthor for, right? Like, did I miss something where Brainiac explains what he needed?
Yeah, that's why I thought maybe Luthor was making the city big.
Yeah,
but it's not.
No, I think it was something to do with his braid that he's got in the test tube.
Yeah,
because we don't see them become small, or the city become big. I'm just assuming they get small.
Yeah, I'm assuming it seems like they teleport into there.
Yeah, because they're like flying around in a little ship, and then when they jump out, it's like It feels like next issue, Supergirl and Lex are going to be inside this city of Colin.
The only reason I'm asking if they made it big is because the bit they're like, oh, yeah, what are you doing? If you enlarge that, you'll destroy the whole ship. And it just says watch, and then you have a panel of the city in a bottle, just in a yellow light, and then the city's like on top of the whole Brainiac ship head, like, and they're like, I don't know what happened.
Maybe he did make it bigger.
Maybe he transported it into a different space. You know what I mean? Like, because it seems like the teleport thing, because there's stuff all around it still. Like, look at the.
There's still like a bottle around it, but it looks but it's also looks like it's big on top of the Brainiac ship, like the whole, like, the skull head ship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I didn't see them shrink.
Right.
Nah, you may be right.
Maybe that's
actually,
what they needed Luthor for, and that's why they say, "Oh, well, we don't need Luthor anymore. He's done his bit."
But why do you need Luthor for that? Like, it just feels convenient for the sake of plot.
I don't know.
Like,
that's what I'm saying. I don't know what Luthor was doing there, but that's like what Pete's writing. He needed him for the Brainiac Queen plot.
Queeniac. That was a good name for it.
Queeniac, yeah. So
Oh dear, it's such a shame because this arc started off fine, but I knew all the Williamson problems were going to creep in and cause it to go downhill. And sure enough, like clockwork, here we are.
Yeah, I still enjoyed this issue for the most part. It's just those, I feel like we're focusing really on the Williamson isms of it. But I'm glad that it wasn't just me that got disappointed that they unshrunk Con and Kara.
I mean,
so quickly.
Very rarely is a Williamson issue a tough read. It always flows well enough. It's more just the storytelling decisions that are the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Also, never mad at seeing Space Cabbie. So, but yeah, the Medonca art is the stuff on the Brainiac ship, right? And then the Sandoval is all the Superman.
Yeah.
Or do I have them flipped?
I thought that was the right way around, but I could be wrong.
Because I really like the Medonca art a lot. So
I mean, honestly, I'm actually not sure. I feel like I'd have to go and compare their art to other books to tell. Yeah. But you're right, that's what the split is. It's like the Superman Lobo stuff's one artist. And
which is a fairly natural split. If you
if I was to guess, I would maybe have said it's the other way around, but I don't know if that's me just remembering what Medonca's art looks like, or if I'm... Yeah, so I don't know. I will say I like the art with the Brainiac ship stuff a bit more, I think.
Me too.
I do as well.
But it is what it is. All right. Despite the fact that the art looked really, really nice, I did not read the backup because I didn't want to.
Oh, okay. No? Oh my goodness, guys. All right. So here it gets on the whole concept of Brainiac's son, who, I don't know if you guys remember that book that came out, we're talking mid-2000s, called Rebels, and it was about Vril Dox, who's constantly trying to get out of his dad's shadow. He runs they're almost like the Guardians of the Galaxy, but for DC, right? They take missions, they do all this other stuff. This backup is essentially all about his dad issues, and he's trying to hide in the galaxy because he's hit rock bottom. And here they bring up Legion, but spelled with all the dots, like it's spelled something out, which I think was his first team before Rebels, which is spelled the same way. But he's also talking about the United Planets and how much problems it's making for him to hide. So he ends up on Rimbor, which is another one of those planets from Legion, and it says he's at rock bottom, and some Zarnians come to bring him in. He fights them off, but eventually Brainiac shows up, and he has to submit to his dad, basically, and he lets him know how much of a disappointment he is. And it's a really fun page because they end up bringing him in, saying that he's coming with us, and then when you turn the page, it's got Vril in, like, bent down with his head down, and Brainiac just lording over him. And he gets into the, that's rich coming from you, and he starts being defiant towards Brainiac, but he's like, I never asked to be born. I am actually your clone. I'm not even your son. And I'm just another one of your failed experiments. And so Vril starts picking Brainiac's brain about what he wants. And as Brainiac's sitting there he's trying to explain to his son why he's doing what he's doing, he collapses and falls down to like a knee. And then admits that he doesn't know what's wrong with him. So whatever the sickness is that we've gotten hints of, not even the 12th level intellect of Brainiac knows what's going on. And so Vril's just giving him, reading him the riot act that, Dad, you have all of the smarts, but you don't have any street smarts, and whatever it is, you'll never get it because you're incapable. And Brainiac cuts him off and tells him enough, and essentially picks him up by his neck, and he has the Zardians take him to Kalu. So I'm wondering if he's going to be showing up with Lex, right, and Kara. And in Kalu, they bring him to this dark room where it looks like there's a ton of other leftover Brainiacs. So not the actual ones like we've seen running the ship with him. It's like Lyral, who is another Brainiac clone, and then Indigo, who, again, from around the same time period, she was revealed to be Brainiac 8 from the future. She infiltrated the Titans and all that stuff. And he's putting them all there for a reason. They can't figure out why. And he looks beyond this group, and there's a lady Brainiac, or a lady Kaluan, and he recognizes that as his mom. And that's where it ends, to be continued in Superman 14. So I like the backup. The art is fantastic. It plays with a lot of shadows, a lot of keeping Vril's face half in shadow, half not, to kind of show the difference between him and his dad. But the whole dynamic between them and him seeing the weakness of Brainiac not knowing what's going on, I thought had some really good moments in it. So I'm curious to see where this goes, because again, why is Brainiac collecting the other Brainiacs? You know what I mean? And what does this have to do with, what exactly he's doing with the Brainiac Queen? So yeah, a lot of fun mysteries going on. But yeah, I like this a tad more than the actual main story. So it seemed a lot more focused.
That's fair. The art looks really nice from what I skimmed of it.
Yeah.
I agree. I just didn't really want to read it after that very mediocre issue.
Yeah, I agree.
I had like 5 other things I needed to read. I was like, I'd rather get on with those.
Yeah. That was my feelings.
Especially as I knew it was Williamson writing the backup as well. If I thought it was a different writer, I might have been persuaded to try it.
Yeah. All
right. Well, in that case, we'll rate Action Comics. Matt, what are you giving it?
7.5.
Connor?
I got 5, and that's partially for the art.
I'm gonna go 6 because I still think it was a nice enough read, and I liked like at least some of the stuff they did before they threw it away. So I can't be too harsh at it. It's not like a complete mess, but definitely the seeds of disappointment are sowing. So all right, that's Action Comics. Batman and Robin, issue 9, legacy number 75. Joshua Williamson writing with Simone and Nikola Čižmešija on the art. So
we're getting better. We're getting better at that pronunciation.
I'm doing my best.
I meant that sincerely.
Yeah, that's all I could do. All I could do is try.
Yes.
So I've been mixed on this book because obviously all the villain stuff and Batman and Robin chasing down Shush has been kind of whatever. But the things that I have liked about this book is Damian going to high school and all the potential things that can be and lead to. And
bringing back Flatline.
Flatline, yeah. I did think the issue that focused on like Flatline going after her sister, whatever, was a bit of an annoying issue.
I found the plot of it was a bit like, okay, whatever, and the double crossing, triple crossing, all that. But like, just the two of them bantering off each other was really solid.
Yeah, So, the last issue wasn't in love with most of it, but it did set up that Flatline's going to go into school with not Connor, Damian, undercover, and Joe, it is because I'm looking at the page where they're sitting at the lunch table together, and Damien and Civvies with a red hoodie on.
With those sunglasses as well.
Yeah, he's got a bit of a Connor Kent kind of vibe going there.
He really does.
But I was like, oh, this is exciting. This is them working together, being like a high school couple almost, trying to deduce and figure out, like, and get into this issue as well. I've been saying for issues and issues that, okay, the principal that he thinks is his old trainer is a red herring, and it's actually the teacher who's nice to him that's going to turn out to be the old trainer or something, right? So what I did not expect after the setup last issue is that we'd get all of this answered and be done with this investigation in the very next issue. I was surprised by that. And then I was also surprised that both teachers turned out to be someone within seconds of each other being revealed.
Yeah, like technically she was a red herring because she wasn't Shush, but she was still someone connected to his past, and like, yeah.
Well, I think
very convenient.
Up until now, I think I was thinking that Shush might also be the woman from his past, but now, no, they're two different people. So the teacher is nice to him, Shush, and she comes in and saves the day when... But even just a moment, because they start a food fight in the cafeteria to get her thrown in detention so they can spend time with the principal to try and grill her. And how
also, is this a normal thing for American schools?
What, food fight?
Detention with the principal.
Oh, it depends. It depends on the school, right? Like if this is like a boarding school, I could see the principal trying to be like...
You know what's funny is that's not the question I had. The question I had is how many high schools have a room labeled detention for detention? Usually it's just a classroom or whatever.
It's just a classroom.
Yeah.
Yeah, so my school, we did have a separate room that was for the kids that were like excluded or suspended.
Mm.
Yeah, we call that in-house. So it's in-house suspension. So
yeah,
they can't go to class, but they're not staying at home. So
yes, we did have a separate room for that because we had enough of those on a regular basis that we needed one.
From the rough city streets of wherever you're from.
Yeah. Hey, full of chavs where I'm from. not a great area. But yeah, the idea of just going to like detention, like the idea of a collective detention even is weird for me. You always just had detention, the class of the teacher who gave it to you.
Pretty much, yeah, something like that. But my big thing here was just how quickly she just says, "Oh, screw it. All right, fine." Like, I'm her. Like there's almost no build up. He just he accuses her again. She's like, "Oh, not this again, Mr. Wayne." And then he just yells at her, and she's like, "Oh, you always were a little brat." Yeah, it's me, and I've been training other students.
All my teenage goons.
Yeah, and I'm like, just like that, we've been teasing this for like a couple of arcs, and just like that, she's just going to just drop the act and admit it. Like with, I guess he's going for this idea that because he yells that she's a bad teacher, it gets on her nerve, but like it's just not satisfying at all.
Let me tell you, the teachers I know, that wouldn't phase any of them. So you think I'm a bad teacher? You took as a student. Just sit down, shut up.
Yeah, it was such an underwhelming reveal. I'm like, okay, she's just exactly who he thought he was, and that's it. Like he was convinced she was this teacher from back in his League of Assassins days. Turns out she's exactly that, and it's revealed and just such a whimper.
But she's not Shush.
She's not Shush, no.
Out there.
So they beat up her goons, and then she grabs one of her students and puts a gun to his head and escalates the whole situation. And that's when in comes the teacher who's been nice to him with a taser, and then she whispers something into one of the students to make them leave. And then that's where Damien's like, "Wait a minute, you're Shush. You just used the Shush voice, the whisper powers." And she's like, "Yeah, I was a villain, but then your dad saved me. So now I'm conflicted about working with Man-Bat. So I'm going to help you find where Batman is because he's kidnapped Batman." And that's basically it. She also explains that she did train under Tommy Elliott, so she is tied to Hush. She was like his student when he was a doctor and like followed in his teachings or some bollocks. I mean, it's not that exciting.
Who cares?
So wait, so is so I'm looking at the League of Comic Geeks page on this, and there's a character named Mistress Harsh.
That's Damien's old trainer.
Yeah. Okay. So that's her name, but that's not the name she was going by at the school.
No, she was principal, right. Whatever. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's real on the thing. Yeah. So
So she's also injured, and what's weird is she basically says the injury she's got that makes her collapse is from the last time she was fighting and like Batman saved her. And I'm like, wait, you were totally acting normal up until this panel, as if there was no problem going on. So I thought that was a bit weird as well. So yeah,
and then she's like literally like bleeding out of nowhere.
Yeah, and she's like, hey, go and like find Batman, blah blah. Principal's like, Flatline's, I'll take care of Principal Stone. You go and deal with your father, and gives him a wink. What I want to talk about, so to go back to the earlier in the issue, because there's a whole scene with Batman and Man-Bat before we got to all the school stuff. I did not like Man-Bat referencing like his time in Justice League Dark and referencing like Task Force.
Oh, it was great,
but
then they just threw me in Arkham. Like, what?
Yeah, it was so weird because one, he doesn't look anything like he did in those runs. Like he's this big sort of smooth monster in this book. He looks nothing like.
It's a lot more demonic. Yeah.
It's just kind of weird for him to bring that up. Batman's like, oh, but you worked with Zatanna and Wonder Woman. You were better, and it just feels
he's
like
yeah. Where did it get me?
Yeah, he's like just shoving it away, and I'm like, this just feels like such a cheap comic book thing because okay, you want him to be a villain, you don't like that he was turned into more of a like an anti-hero or like an ally. And you're retconning it in the quickest, laziest way possible.
Outright good in that series. I know you didn't read all it, but he was outright just a hero.
But I know the feeling though, because I love Clayface as an ally and detective, and then when they just threw that away like it was nothing because the next writer wanted to be bad guy.
Yeah, give me a good reason. Like especially with Man-Bat, you can do the Jekyll Hyde thing, right? To where now the bat creature, the primal side, is taking over. But this they threw me in Arkham, so screw the heroes. That's just lazy.
Yeah, it felt unfulfilling. So yeah, after the skull stuff, Damian goes looking in the sewer systems or whatever. Man-Bat's made his own bat cave because he was jealous of Batman having one.
All right, I like that.
It's fine. I have no issues. And then when he goes looking, because he sees that there's like a map and there's like plans for Man-Bat to release some sort of Man-Bat toxin or something throughout the city. He goes up to a rooftop, Man-Bat's there, and he monologues about his father a bit.
Also, just on that map, this is the map that I don't know if it was the last issue or the issue before. Batman was like completely stumped by. He was like, I don't recognize this at all. This matches no map of Gotham I can think of. The extra lines that were drawn. They're not like tunnels or anything. He's like, I don't get it. Damian takes one look and it's like, well, yeah, obviously they're Bat's flight patterns. Surely Batman would know that.
You would think. I mean, he does at least have a line of dialogue where he says, Father, sometimes you're as blind as a bat, to at least imply that he should have figured it out.
He does, but, like, Bruce uses bats, like, semi-regularly.
Yeah. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I will concede that. And then, yeah, it's just, the ending's just, Man-Bat being like, aha, my plan is beginning, the bats are flying, and, well, you stop me, probably. It's a comic book.
Yeah.
This has always been a mixed book. There's always been like fun bits sprinkled in amongst the other stuff, and typically when it's focused on Damian, it's a bit better. And I think that's because one of the best things that Williamson's written was that Robin book. So whenever he's just playing with that, it feels like it fits better.
It's tended to have pretty good art as well, which has made it pretty easy to read for the most part.
Yeah, much like all Williamson books, it flows pretty well most of the time. It's not like a chore to read by any stretch. But again, just quickly just wrapping up an interesting status quo that you just set up at the end of last issue. Like, we couldn't even get like a scene of like Flatline pretending to be like in class or something, or them like doing other school stuff that would have been interesting scenarios to see them like tested by having to act normal in like normal like situations. Nope, it's already over. One scene in the lunch hall, that's it.
Yeah.
Nope, don't like that.
Yeah, so disappointing. So the only what I've got for it. It's just it whiffs on its potential once again.
Yeah, I think like this was a easier or better read than the Action Comics issue for me. I think maybe that's part of it. Is just it's a simpler plot, and I think the at least having Damian there grounds it a little bit more. There's something to catch on to, as opposed to the other one where it's just kind of a bit all over the place.
Yeah,
this was a little bit more coherent. even if it is still Williamson moving through things too fast like Williamson does.
Yeah, that's fair. Fair. I don't even have too much to add, really. I will say that in this art, I don't really love the look of Man-Bat. It feels a little bit too flat and smooth, I guess, is the best I can describe it.
That's fair. I like it, but I'm a reasonable fan of Simone Mia's work in general. I think it's really stylish, and it is like a stylistic take on Man-Bat. So
Yeah.
it is a matter of just taste and preferences whether or not you like it. I don't think it's objectively good or bad.
Mm. All right, we can rate. Connor, what are you giving it?
I'll give it a 6.
Yeah, I agree with that. 6 out of 10 for me as well. He's so say we don't have a third Williamson book, he gets 666 for me this week. But
yeah. So I'm looking at the variant. So as we talk, I'll look, and there's the what's it? I want to get this right. The AAPI month variants, right?
Yes.
And I know they want to throw in certain characters. For this book, it's Monkey Prince, who has like nothing to do
with the book,
with this book. Yet you have Flatline and mentor Lord Deathman, who's a Japanese villain. They couldn't go with. They went with Monkey Prince instead.
I guess they wanted to go with a hero rather than someone who's a villain.
Yeah. So I guess
say. Yeah.
I'm not. I mean, the art looks great. It's Erica Henderson. But yeah, it's weird. I was looking at the things. I was like, why is Monkey Prince here?
And Flatline, if I recall, fell in with Lord Deathman. I don't think she's from the same place.
Sorry, just rewind a second as to the really obvious pick.
Yes.
Right. Okay. Maybe I'm like slightly missing my geography here.
Yeah.
But isn't Ra's al Ghul like meant to be like Middle Eastern?
Yeah.
Like entirely like that's Asia.
Yeah.
Damien himself is like Asian, right? I'm not crazy here.
At least a part.
Yeah.
I mean, they could have done Ra's too, I guess.
Or Talia.
Or Talia. Yeah. So. No shade to Monkey Prince. I love Monkey Prince as a character, but
I agree. But there's like really easy and obvious links to this book specifically. At least I would think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess because they don't lean on that for Damien never. It never really comes up. So maybe it's just
fine. But like, if you don't want to do it for Damien because they don't want to highlight that for whatever reason, like Talia or Raz is an easy link still that ties into this book.
Mm-hmm.
It's much more explicit.
Yeah.
All right, we can move on. Green Lantern issue 11, Legacy 547. Jeremy Adams writing with Xermanico and Amancay and Nahuelpan on the art. Finally, some good effing food, to quote Gordon Ramsay. So, yeah, I mean, this has been a good run. This arc even felt like a step up. And I'd enjoyed the first arc quite a bit. But it feels like the world it's building. Like Jeremy Adams, I enjoyed his Flash run, and he did a really good job handling the characters. But I think this time the difference is the story's also like firing in some really interesting ways.
The shady going-ons of the United Planets have me hooked.
Yeah, and the way it's incorporating a bunch of different characters from around the Green Lantern lore as well. And this issue gives a lot of time to Carol, for example, and builds up like a subplot with her. And we have obviously a little flashback that sets that up when the Star Sapphire power battery went boom, and we get an example of Tharos basically saying, "Hey, join us," and then being like, "Nah, we don't really want to." Level C
I love that with the just because of the Zamarons and my experience from reading back in the Johns days, they were very like, "Nah, we don't make deals with people," right? And so the fact they were just like, "No." And then they force his hand. It makes him seem more devious.
Yeah, he just turns and says, "All right, do it," and then power battery blows up. So it gives you a little bit of that context. But yeah, Carol's subplot here is interesting. It's her back on Earth, obviously, which gives it a nice break from all the planet stuff when we go back to the Green Lanterns. So it's a nice like change of pace. But it's basically her clearly missing Hal, right? She even at one point when she comes home, her fiance. He says, "I'm sorry." I
forget his name.
Oh no! Before that, the fiance. Sure, I don't know what his name is. Doesn't matter. It's the fiance. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
But he says, "I'm sorry," and she's like, "Oh, don't worry, he'll be back." And he's like, "Who'll be back?" And it's like, "Oh no, you're not talking about what I'm thinking about. What are you talking about?" so it sets this thing up, and I really like that there's this sort of almost like good character work here, that it's like she's almost trying to convince herself how committed she is to this relationship by whenever she's like thinking about Hal or something reminds her of Hal, it provokes her to try and push this relationship further, to try and like mask it to herself almost. And it's really good. It's really good stuff.
So it's, he's gone, let's get married.
Yeah.
It reminds me of Julia Roberts in Ocean's 11, right?
Yeah,
Where she's trying to trick herself into thinking she likes Andy Garcia, right? But, you know, Danny shows up and throws a wrench into all of that. And even though she has very, you know, main reasons not to fall back in with Danny, it feels very much the same here with Hal. So I like all that. Also, never trust anybody that throws out Vegas as the first destination for a wedding. Like, just don't.
Yeah, well, I mean, she's motivated because she's thinking about Hal, and maybe it's just that this guy's here, and that represents something that Hal isn't, is that he's always gone. So it's like, it motivates her, and then when he says Vegas, you know, that ends up leading to a flashback. Not right away, we get a scene with the Green Lanterns first, but, you know, they're going to Vegas, and he's like, oh, when was the last time you were here?
To be fair, doesn't she suggest Vegas first?
She does, yeah, she suggests Vegas, yeah. But did I say he did?
Yeah, I think Matt was saying, oh, never trust anyone.
Oh, sure, yeah. Well, I think he's right, though, because it's like her motivations are sketchy, you know?
Yeah, she doesn't. Well, I mean, I forgot that she suggested it, but it still stands that then she goes, let's go, because he goes, let's get married. And she goes, well, we can't get to Vegas by sundown. And then he just goes along with it. And it's like, oh, I don't know, man. I don't think that's just something that you do on a whim.
It's a bit impulsive, yeah.
Yeah.
And when he starts asking about the last time, you know, she was there or he was there, we get this flashback to when they were kids, and it's basically this kid's trying to like talk to Carol on the way home. She was meant to be waiting for Hal, and Hal's in trouble at the principal's office, and he gets this whole speech about, you know, behaving and falling in line, and, you know, you can have a nice life if you follow the rules. But he's like, yeah, but it's a boring life. And Hal, at the end of the scene, decides to steal the principal's car keys and steals his car and swoops into, like, you know, where Carol is and picks her up and says, hey, do you want to go somewhere? And he says, let's go to Vegas. Why not? Who's to stop us?
How old do you think they're meant to be in this flashback? Because they look about like
14?
13, 14.
Yeah,
14.
I would clock him about 14. Like, it's about middle schooly. You know?
Right, okay. So he steals the car, fine. Sure, he can drive. Sure, fine. They go to Vegas. Okay, fine. No one stops them when they try and go into a casino?
I mean, I think as we see later in the flashback, I mean, it seems like quite quickly some guys in suits come over to get them because they're clearly not going to be
But do they not have people on the doors?
I don't know. Matt lives in Vegas, ask him.
Yeah, so here's the thing, is you're allowed as a minor to walk through the casinos, right? So there would be no issue walking in. However, the moment they got close to any of the machines or the tables, there would be people there going, hey, keep moving. You know,
that's weird. All the casinos I've seen over here are just like, no, you're not allowed in.
Yeah, they're very strict about that.
Because we have so much stuff there, right? So, like, especially, like, anytime I go to a movie, because most of them are associated with the theaters, are associated with the casino, you have whole families just walking through, you know. And so especially down on the Strip, there's restaurants, that's where, you know, we have to walk through a casino to get to a Knights game to go watch hockey, you know, depending where you park. So that's just one of the things.
Fair enough.
Living here. But the moment that they get close to the machines, like here, like there's no way that there weren't eyes on these kids from the time they stepped foot on the casino floor.
Yeah. And this whole incident leads to Hal getting shipped off to boarding school, so he has to make this big goodbye. And it's this idea that, you know, he's always been this, like, excitement in our life, but it's always led to him having to leave and be gone for, even before the Green Lantern days, even as kids, there was a time where this meant he had to go away for a while. So, yeah, there's a great little moment there where the art goes from, like, a panel of her kid face, hoping that he's going to come back, to the face of Carol in present day. And just this idea that this sadness of, like, waiting for Hal to come back has been there their whole life.
I would say this is more development for the relationship than I can remember in the John stuff. And I love that John stuff. Sure. Right? But the way that John treated their relationship, it always felt like it was just something of fate. Here, taking them all the way back to kids, and like Pete was saying, with he's always been the excitement in her life, and then once he's gone, right, she starts to get bored again, because he's out doing, paying for the consequences or whatever it is. I like that development here because, again, this is just the cycle that she falls into with Hal.
Yeah, I want to compliment some here. So they go to the Chapel of Solitude, which is the marriage place they're going to in Vegas. And I love this. There's a lot of jokes here about everything Superman themed. You get married faster than a speeding bullet, all the rest of it. It's all cute stuff. But it's actually, there's a reason for it. There's not just a joke. The reason is that when they offer the rings that they have ready for marriages, they're all based on like having little bits of kryptonite. I mean, it's probably not real kryptonite, but the joke being that it's, it's like little kryptonite rings. So it leads to a moment where the fiancé says, I think I'll pick the green ring. And that's the line. That's why this entire joke of it being the Chapel of Solitude exists, is so that she picks the green ring, and that makes her react and think of Hal. Yep. Perfect. That is good. There's a reason for it.
No matter what she does, she can't escape the green ring,
Yeah. Yeah, I really like that. So the end of this issue, but we'll go back.
It's always just a reminder that he's just a knockoff.
Yeah. Even this green ring's a knockoff of it's a knockoff of a Green Lantern ring. It's the knockoff of a kryptonite. It's the knockoff in every way possible.
In their defense, they're not claiming to be kryptonite. They're saying based off of the different colors of kryptonite.
Yeah,
of course. Yeah.
Also, guys, I just want to announce that I am now a member of the Church of Krypton. So I'll let you know what my holiday schedules are like. Yeah. But now that I know it exists, and I just have to go downtown. Like, we'll see what the dues and the fees are.
I feel like this isn't actually in Vegas, Matt. You may be disappointed when you go looking for it.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I'll let you know.
They're recognized by the state of Nevada, and I buy
that. So yeah, the end of we'll go back to the Green Lantern stuff, obviously, but the end of this main story, and this Carol story really is the main story in this issue.
Yeah.
Is that just as they're about to like seal the deal, right? They're in the middle of the wedding. The light starts to glow behind them. There's a star sapphire ring, and she just looks at it and says, Hal. And this is really interesting. Obviously, it's exciting because by this point in the story, the Green Lanterns are in a bit of trouble, and they kind of need someone to come and save the day. So she might be the cavalry, which is cool. Yeah. But it's also interesting because, okay, we know what's powering all the Green Lantern rings now, or what's powering Hal's ring, because they've got the sort of the secret battery on Earth. What's powering this bad boy?
Where's the secret battery? Because you're gonna have to assume that the emotional spectrum has ties. You know what I mean? Because to other, right? Like it's not just we've seen the Green Lanterns for the United Planets color shift. That energy's got to be coming from somewhere, right? Because they destroyed the power batteries. So where's this power battery that's going the Star Sapphire?
I did wonder if it's not actually a Star Sapphire battery, if it is still the green battery on Earth, because we know it can create the extra rings, right?
I was thinking this as well, that maybe it's literally the love from Hal that's kind of like creating this almost, like because like the power's going through him, that like somehow the battery's like calling him back up, because the
battery said, hey, we've got rings ready for all the Earth lanterns, you can create more if you need to. So I wonder if it's like the battery has created this ring for him.
And that does make sense too with with her tie to Hal. That why couldn't it create a Star Sapphire ring?
It's that little tease that says next love joins the fight, and it was just making me think that the reason why this ring goes to her specifically is because her tie to Hal, and that he needs help right now.
That I didn't even consider it coming from the Earth Green Lantern.
But that was my instant question, because as soon as you see this ring, I'm like, well, wait a minute. This issue intentionally starts with the destruction of that battery, so it makes you think about it. It makes you think about the question. So the Green Lantern side of the plot is that Kyle's out of it. He's messed up from everything that's happened to him.
Oh, what a shame!
Shut up.
PTSD Lantern. That's his role.
And we got Bird Boy here, who's like, I witnessed Tharos do a lot of bad things. So maybe if we go to the United Planets, given that they're on this sort of tenuous arrangement to even be this union, maybe if we expose what Tharos has done, we've got a witness, maybe we can do something with that, and that'll be the start of bringing them down. What actually happens, though, is they go to this meeting, and I actually thought this was a cool reveal. They're making their big speech. Tharos starts laughing, effectively, And we get this cool thing in the background where all of the other members of the United Planets, like some sort of hologram kind of disguise, starts to break down. And then you see they're all members of Tharos' race. They're all Durlans. And
they're all Durlans. Yeah.
And it's like, oh shit, they're all shit. He's actually replaced the rest of the council. They're all just under his command, which I think is a fun reveal because, one, it proves the villain right that they're a bit arrogant to think they can just walk in here and solve it this way. But two, it also levels up the threat of him because he's already replaced the rest of the United Planets Council and he's completely in charge.
Yep.
So...
And
cool.
the charade, right? Because there's the Tamaranian guy, right? He's got the beard and the crown. Looking and goes, he's like, is this true? Right? And then it's revealed that they're Durlans, and those are just like holograms. So like he's had this plan for a minute. Like Theros is like 2 or 3 steps ahead.
Yeah. I don't think they're literally holograms. I just said hologram effect because that's what it looks like when it's changing. Like they all look like they're sort of like digitally breaking up and shit.
Okay. I mean,
which I thought was a bit weird. Like if they're
shapeshifters.
They're all shapeshifters. Yeah, this is a weird effect of a shapeshifting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like this plays like it was a digital hologram, like a digital effect that was hiding them. But they're shapeshifters. They just shapeshift into this if they wanted to. So it was a weird visual effect to showcase this.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Honestly, I thought that's what it was until they mentioned their shapeshifting. But I don't. Or maybe there's a reason why they couldn't shapeshift. Maybe there's some reason why they have to do it a different way, and that's why it's the hologram thing. I mean, I liked the reveal though. I thought it was like a fun escalation of the stakes.
Yeah.
But it neatly sets up why like Carol's needed. I think that's what's really good about these two plots together is that when that ring shows up, you're like, yeah, they need backup, and this might be like who comes in to save them. So that was a really good issue. I thought this run's been killing it.
Yeah, it's been really good.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Obviously, the art split up between the two stories. Makes sense. It's a natural split to have. I think the art in both is pretty solid. I complimented the comparing the kids to the adult versions when they did those transitions.
I actually think as well, like these two artists, they're more similar put next to each other than I would have expected. Like, you know, if I picture both of their art separately, you know, I've we've seen enough now to have an idea. I would not have assumed that in the same issue they would look as, you know, not identical, but like, you know, as close to each other as they actually do. Yeah,
and obviously Xermanico's the one that I would say I get more excited for. You know, I see the name Xermanico and I'm hyped, and that's the Green Lantern stuff in this issue. But I think Nahuelpan did a really good job with all the Carol stuff, and it kind of worked that it is close, a little bit different because they're on a different planet, different sort of tone to the story. That makes sense.
Yeah,
you know?
And Nahuelpan's that kind of workman that has done a whole bunch of different books too. So just that kind of standard Earth style.
Yeah, and
it works out.
What I want to credit here more than anything is taking the time to actually tell this story with Carol, because I think a lot of other writers would just have her show up next issue and then she'd explain how she got there in a couple of panels, and that would be it. And it wouldn't have any impact or landing. This made me excited for her showing up and fleshed out the character by kind of exploring this idea of like how she feels alienated from Hal and how this like potential marriage is just kind of her trying to cope and try to convince herself that she can be something else. You know,
Connor put it right where this guy, I think his name's Nathan, is just a knockoff. Just like the wedding ring. So it's kind of sums up, and it's Jeremy Adams is really finding a stride in this book right now.
Yeah. There's just some quotes here from the wedding speech here that I want to... Matt, mute.
No, I snorted because I was laughing because you keep going back to these. No, that wasn't me clearing.
That just sounded like a snort, to be honest.
Yes. No, I was snorting because of course you like all of this cheesiness.
Do you promise to treat her with truth and justice and work towards a better tomorrow together? And then the next part is, do you promise to be stronger than a locomotive, to leap over tall problems together as one, and to make this marriage a marriage of steel? And then does anyone object to the marriage thing? Is now, if anyone here with X-ray vision or heat vision sees a reason why these two should not be wed, which is really specific, actually.
My favorite part of that is if anyone with X-ray vision Like that works. You're getting the reference in, and it makes sense. Now, if anyone with heat vision, do you see anything? Like, that's a completely different question, right?
It's almost like they've misunderstood it, and I get this because whenever I talk to non-comic book people and I say, "Oh, the laser eyes are called heat vision," they're like, but it's not a vision, and I'm like, "You're right, it's not. It's just something they've always called it, and we just sort of go with it." But because heat vision implies predator, right? It implies thermal vision,
right?
Yeah, vision implies seeing as opposed to just where this is outwards projection.
I've been a Superman fan for over 3/4 of my life, and I've never thought about heat vision being named incorrectly.
Oh yeah, it's a stupid name. Right now. It does not work for what it is.
No, but it's in such the pop culture mental that we just accept that it's heat vision and X-ray vision and cold breath. Like why is there cold breath? Huh? They just
it's cold,
did it. Yeah. You know. I also want to know where Jeremy Adams found my draft of my vows for my wedding, and I take umbrage he didn't clear it before. No, that said, I did work the Green Lantern oath into my vows when I got married. So
of course you did.
Yes, and it was mainly just to watch her eyes get big. That is he really doing the whole oath?
I just roll her eyes and be like, please stop.
Oh, it was great. Her eyes got wide, and and the only person that really picked up on it was her uncle, which I thought was real funny. So
oh dear. I was watching an episode of a show this week. It's a few years old. It's called Station 11, but I watched the second episode of it, and it's all about actors putting on plays in the future. And there's a guy auditioning, right? And they always get them to do Shakespeare monologues as their audition. But the guy's like, "Oh, can I do something other than Shakespeare, please? Can I please do something else?" And like, "Okay, fine. Like, do whatever you want." And he starts doing a speech, right? And I'm like, I recognize this, and it becomes very clear very quickly what it is. But not only do you realize what the speech is coming from, they actually bring in the score from the movie as he's saying it. And I think they even overlay a little bit of the original voice by the end. It's the president's speech from Independence Day.
Let's go.
And it was just this realization that this is what he's doing. His audition was really funny.
Basically, Shakespeare.
That's a really good speech, though. Pullman killed it.
Because he starts off, because the start of the speech is something that's not as recognizable as the end of it. He's like, "Oh, it's fortuitous that today is July 4th," and I'm like, "Hey, where's he going with this?" And he's like, the monsters are blah blah blah. I was like, "Oh my god, he's doing Independence Day." Anyway, funny.
Yeah, very.
So
this is a really good book.
It was a really good book. Yeah, I like this issue a lot.
Thoroughly enjoying Green Lantern right now.
Now, I'm not reading the Lobo and Guy Gardner story that ties into House of Brainiac, so
I was like, Guy Gardner. I can read a Guy Gardner, and that's a House of Brainiac, and I was like, I'm good.
Yeah, I didn't read the last time.
Good Lord, y'all, backups are part of what you're buying. I just want to know how y'all just be like, "Oh no, I spent money on this. I'm just gonna end right here."
Because my time is more valuable than my money.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, I have it in front of me. I'm just gonna read it, I guess.
I have other things I'd rather be doing that were worth the dollar I spent on this extra backup bit. So I'd rather spend it doing something else.
Yeah, so yes, this is a House of Brainiac tie-in, and ultimately I feel like it's not going to matter. It's just
shocked.
mainly...
I'm shocked, Matt. I can't believe that.
Because at least in the first part, we had Omega Badman, right, who's a Jeremy Adams original creation, and they were doing the whole wrestling thing. Here they are on the run, midnight run style, with Guy Gardner making a construct of the long shackles to keep him and Lobo together. And Kevin Maguire's art style is not at all handling the Guy Gardner flat top, because I feel like Maguire's so used to drawing the hair curtains, the bowl cut type vibe. So I will say that's probably my biggest art quibble is Guy's flat top looks just terrible. But yeah, it starts off that they're hiding on this planet. They follow the space dolphins to here, and they're hiding out. And Guy's like, "Yeah, I just need to get us to, close to O as possible, and we'll be fine." And he ends up on this planet finding like a communicator that he tries to get a transmission off. Guy can't get it to work, so he asks Lobo. So Lobo uses some of his mercenary, like bounty hunter type stuff to get it to work. And as Gardner's talking and putting out this transmission, Lobo's still claiming that he's not Lobo, despite the fact that we have all of the other evidence that's there. And he says that he's en route to wherever they need to take him as soon as the dolphins clear out. And Lobo and Gardner go into this bar where the communicator was. And essentially, Lobo's like, yeah, but how much did the bounty go up? And Gardner's like, well, you're not Lobo. Why do you care? He's like, oh, because last time I checked, it was worth, whatever. He says 300 Darlax. And that every bounty hunter in the galaxy is going to be after me. So smash cut to them in this bar, and it's, it's just a hodgepodge of space characters. You have Belfunga the Unrelenting, who's had issues with Gardner. There's a guy that looks kind of like Ghost Rider and some mechanical lady. They're all going after the bounty, which causes Guy and Lobo to have a distraction because they start going after the bounty hunters, start going after each other. Before as they're watching this go on, Lobo tries to just escape on his own, and they end up being transported into an area with the rest of the Zarnians. So that's where this ends. That it seems like Lobo's been captured by Brainiac, and now Guy Gardner's in with the rest of them. So it ends on a really fun page where it's all like the dark blues and grays and blacks of Lobo, and then Guy Gardner and his, green and red hair, popping out like a sore thumb. So I don't know how much, this is going to matter at the end of things. I don't know where it's going to leave Lobo, because we see him teaming up with Superman and whatnot, or if this is going to reveal anything else about the, the Zarnians. But it seems pretty redundant at this point, but, I'll never not read a Guy Gardner story.
Sure. All right, well, I guess we can rate Green Lantern then, Matt.
I'm going to give this a 9.
Connor?
I forgot how highly Matt rates. I think an 8.
Oh, honestly, I'm more inclined to sneak up to the 9, at least 8.5, because I think this run's been getting better and better.
I think it's very good. Well, I did not see 9s coming for this issue.
I'm super into it. I think these last few issues have really been propping me up.
Okay.
I'm digging it. So, all right. Outsiders issue 7, Colin Kelly and Jackson Lanzing with Robert Carey on the art. So, yeah, this is where we get an explanation of Drummer's backstory, and it kind of takes us on a trip through multiple DC reboots. Effectively. Starting with the New 52, because that's when the universe she came from, presumably, first got destroyed, was when that all merged together.
Yeah. So Planetary is a Wildstorm property, right? And so it seems like this starts after Planetary ends.
Yes.
So as someone reading through Planetary, I feel like I've just been spoiled, but that's okay. Because there's some reveals of some mysteries here in the dialogue when we're with them.
I feel like, that ended a while ago at this point. It's fair game for the story to reference it, right?
When they're talking about the reveals of who the fourth man was and all this other stuff that's been a mystery as I'm reading, I just think it's very funny that this is very much a sequel to Planetary at this point, more than it's an actual Outsiders. But yeah, we get to follow Chiquita Wagner, who is seemingly not the sole survivor of Wildstorm, but the Planetary, as she experiences all the different reboots.
She's the survivor in the sense that she remembers like
everything.
Other Wildstorm characters are around, but the rebooted versions where she's, as they put in this book, she's immune to these changes.
Immune to all of that. Yes. And I think that's funny because the whole gimmick at the beginning is that she's immune to the end, right? Her story keeps going while all these other ones stop and restart. And I think that's a very fun way. From the things that I've experienced reading Planetary at this point, that's a very Planetary way to look at comic books.
Yeah, because the world starts to go to white, and she is getting pulled out into whatever's changing when they are all just fading away. and we see like the Flash running, and obviously once you realize this is the start of the New 52, you realize, oh, this is Flashpoint happening. This is when all that's going down. And she hasn't, she came from a world where there was no Metropolis in Gotham, because when the guy in the alleyway says, oh, you're in Metropolis, she's like, which one? Like, there's lots of Metropolises. There's New York. There's, and he's like, no, there's Metropolis. Like, this is where we are.
Metropolis, yeah.
I will say it's like, not that I like this outfit by any means, but I thought it was interesting that the V-neck on the Superman suit wasn't there in that 2-page spread, because that's like one of the most defining parts of that New 52 costume. Yeah. The rest of it's there, but just the V-neck's missing. I thought that was a bit strange.
It still has the big collar, though.
It does.
Yeah.
Sadly, the new movie seems to have a big collar as well.
Oh, I know. Why would you make that choice?
It's bizarre.
Movies, dude.
Also, when Chiquita gets, pulled from her reality to this new one via Flashpoint, she loses her gun and grabs the drummer's drumstick.
Yeah, just one of them. So
this is just one of them. Yeah. So this is almost like her constant. I think from Lost.
Maybe part of why she remembers this, that she grabs this tether, right?
Yeah.
Like it's a physical tether to her original universe.
Yeah. So she obviously like studies what's happened, what's going on, and talks about her feeling very like hard to like care about anything, because she basically knows that eventually there'll be another reset, and like whatever belief she builds won't matter, and that's kind of like part of the big themes of this and why it's difficult for her. And we see her like keeping records of things, and like it literally shows 52, Convergence, Rebirth, like
Convergence reference in Year of Our Lord 2024.
Yeah, but it happened, right? Yeah. That's where we're at with. I think that's how Convergence.
It's a weird week where we have references to Omega Titans and Convergence in the same week.
It's whale times.
Wasn't that how Convergence ended? Was it all happened? We just everything happened and we just kind of
everything's there. Just stop worrying about it, guys.
Yeah. But I think what's important on this is when she starts collecting all of these things, right? She talks about that there is no snowflake and there never was, meaning the whole concept of that's how they looked at the metaverse or the multiverse or whatever, right? And that's the thing that the outsiders have also encountered through. So it just seems like this was written in a point where the multiverse was reforming and things have changed even since then.
Yeah, because then she sees the rebirth version of the Justice League, and but we see that she does build a life. She finds someone and is I don't know if she's married or just like living with someone, but regardless, she's in a relationship. But then of course it happens again, and this seems to be Dark Knights of Steel. No, not Dark Knights of Steel.
No,
Death Metal.
Death Metal.
Yeah.
Because the giant mountain shows up in Gotham.
Right? Yeah. No, I just mixed up the titles. Obviously, Dark Knights of Steel is the Tom Taylor Elseworld, but the mountain coming up. Or
you were just going with whatever sounded like a metal record.
It was the first metal. Whatever metal had the mountain come up in Gotham, right? Yes. Whatever one it was.
I think it was the first one, yeah. Because the second one opens with the definitely not the Power Ranger stuff.
Yes, that sounds right.
Yeah. I'm glad you guys remember.
Yeah.
Well, those books are not deep, but they were fun.
Yeah. No, that's true, but I forgot the whole Power Rangers aspect, the Voltroning. Yeah.
Yeah, and then she
makes you franchises, man.
And then she meets this other character who is not just appeared here. He points out that he's the final knight from this other Earth, and he had to like fight his way to be here, but she just keeps existing no matter what. And sure enough, once again, there's a new version of the Justice League. Well, it's not even the Justice League. It's just like it's like 3 Flash members, 3 Green Lanterns, 3 Superman characters.
Yeah, there's Flash, and then so there's all these legacy characters, and then Wonder Woman in her invisible jet, which is just a hilarious visual.
Yeah, honestly, it looks well she's on a motorbike. If I'm being honest.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, I think that's just her sitting at the controls.
I know, but it looks like she's got on like a Harley
it's
or something.
The legs forward as well.
Tucked underneath.
It's like she's reaching for pedals in a car or like forward on a bike. Whereas if you're sat on a chair in a plane, I assume it's more like a normal chair because you don't have pedals. So you put your legs down flat, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
At least assuming you have reasonable posture anyway. Maybe she just has terrible posture.
No, I'm thinking one of those motorbikes where your legs are more at the front, like one of those big.
Yeah, like a big Harley.
Yeah. So no, but basically she's been through all these changes, and it kind of like encouraged her to sort of become the new drummer, and It's like, all these things are gone, but they're not gone because I'm an archaeologist, right? And she's trying to find her way back to her people, and that's when we finally come back to she's telling all this to Batwoman to Luke, and Batwoman immediately is like, okay, you're delusional, you belong in Arkham, I'm going to go and be a superhero now, and I'm done with this nonsense. So yeah, it leaves us in a weird place. But she talks about how we are fiction. There is a world that is reading us. So
she talks directly to us.
Yeah, it gets very very directly meta, right? In a way that's very Grant Morrison, because it's you're reading a comic book, you're reading a book called The Outsiders, and like this was chapter 8 Hex. Like it really gets to it. So I had to catch up on this book. And I'd enjoy. I think I'd read the first 4, maybe 5, and I'd enjoyed them all already. I'm like, hey, no, this was I was already into the book. I'm like, this is pretty good. Never having read Planetary and not having that connection, I still thought, hey, this is solid. And then I got to issue 6, but I was catching up. It must have been 6, 5 or 6, or was like the final issue thing.
Yeah, that was 6, because 5 was the right. 5 was the. Hold on, 5 was the new Sentry girl, right?
Yes. So I read. I read 5. I read 5 and 6 before this one in the last week or so. And 5, I was like, oh, that was really good. That was kind of really great. This book's low key kind of grabbing me.
5, the Sentry Child issue was probably my favorite issue of the book so far.
Yeah.
Well, I was like, oh my god, this is really great. And then I went straight into 6 afterwards. And it was the realm of all the people who didn't survive their reboots.
Yes.
The cast-offs. I was like, oh, this is straight up some Grant Morrison shit.
I remember thinking the last one wasn't as good. Like I was a little bit less enthusiastic about the last one, but
that was the last one.
Was that the last one? Okay, it was
7.
The one you really didn't like,
Pete. They're teasing Hex.
Oh, that's next issue. Okay.
Next issue. Yeah.
Okay.
The one you didn't really enjoy, Pete, was the Vampire Club.
Yes, that was the one I didn't like very much.
That was, I think, 4.
That was the issue where I wasn't. That was the last one I read before this, and I was like, it was okay. Yeah. I think I might have been on the show for that issue, and I remember saying at the time, being like, this one wasn't so hot. But
you would really enjoy Planetary then, Connor. If you could track
I'm aware.
that down.
I'm very aware. It's on my massive.
It is right up your alley. I'm to the point where they're getting into the origin of their main antagonist, the Four. And they're essentially just an evil version of the Fantastic Four, and it's just it's really something nice.
Yeah, I mean the end of this issue is basically Drummer, or if we're calling her by what's her name? Chiquita. Mm-hmm. She basically is threatening the reader. She's threatening us and saying, "I'm coming for you, sons of bitches! Like, you think you can oversee my world? No. Yeah. I've got secrets."
You think you know the ending, but you don't know. Bleep. I like that. It's vaguely threatening. Yeah. And yes, Miss Wagner. I don't know anything. It's fine. Don't hit me.
This, low key, might be becoming my favorite ongoing book.
Hey, I don't think I'm at that point. I think I care more about at least a handful of other books more. But it's good.
The last 3 issues of this now are these are some of the best things that I read. That are coming out in any given month from DC specifically.
I mean. And it was still solicited for August, so it's not ending too soon. You're getting at least some more of it.
So on this cover, right, when this was solicited, it was Drummer holding, a redacted body. Like we couldn't see whose it was. And I had thought don't be Kate, because I'm not going to be dealing with that. So the fact that it's Elijah Snow, who's, the other character from Planetary, that's very, I do like what this represents, right? Because it's Chiquita coming to terms with that. Her world's missing, and yes, she's looking for it, right? But this is the death of all that she knew. So it's very much in that same type of crisis way of Superman holding Supergirl, right? So
yeah, no, it's definitely interesting. It's one of those things where the first couple of pages of this book, it was a little bit much to take in, not knowing who any of these characters were. Yeah. And be like, oh god, is this going to be a whole issue of me following these characters I don't know? But then, obviously, quite quickly, it did the Flash. It was like, okay, no, we're getting Drummer's origin effectively, and how she ended up here, and the fact that she's lived through all these reboots that we've went over in the last decade and a half.
And Yeah, and looking back to knowing that she's Chiquita Wagner that got revealed in the last issue, when you go back and look at that Vampire Club issue where she's just starting to kill people, it makes sense because that was kind of, she's the field agent in Planetary, right? So there's little hints. So I'm curious to go back now that I have the familiarity and reread this from the beginning and see if there's any more hints that they were dropping like breadcrumbs.
Oh, that's neat.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Honestly, I did not think that Kelly and Lanzing had this in them.
Yeah,
I always consider them to be competent, good writers, but like you're a safe pair of hands. I did not see them getting experimental like this.
No, and I think it shows how much they love the art form, right? Because that's what we always say about Morrison. When Morrison gets wonky with stuff, we're like, oh yeah, it's because they love it. I feel the same here. As not only do they love Planetary, but just the whole concept of the DC universe and reboots and and what that all means for these characters.
Something quite nice about this is it is a story that only works in the context of the DC universe. There's a lot of DC comics that you can change the character names, you can fudge it a little bit, and by and large it'll function as an Image comic or even mostly as a Marvel comic, right? You can take the same beats and just transfer them. This here, with the way it's got the reboots all structured into it, I don't think there's any other company that has the universe and the history that lets this story work this way. At least not with any media. You can tell this with the idea of reboots, but with a character having the weight of them having been rebooted and readers being familiar with that world already, independently of it. Like I think that it only works here.
Oh yeah, I mean, like we instantly just reading this. If you've been reading DC for any length of time, like I got what was happening in this book as soon as I saw like that Justice League in their like New 52 outfits. I'm like, okay, I just instantly get this now. I instantly get what just happened. So from there on,
when I saw the first Flash, I was like, oh, are we taking this all the way back to Crisis on Infinite Earths? But then when you see that it's the New 52, you're like, oh yeah, that's Flashpoint.
Well, that makes sense because that's when Wildstorm get folded in. That's when their universe get killed effectively. So. Yeah, no, I mean
it's clever. It's really clever.
So no, super interesting book. So, what are we rating this, Matt?
I'm gonna give this an 8.
Connor?
Oh, this is the one where I'm going high because it's really working for me. I'm gonna give this one like a 9.
Okay, I'm gonna go with the 8 on this. It's really good. It's really interesting. So.
Yeah, in your absence, Connor, Pete and me have lined up a lot more than I'm comfortable with. But I think because I've adjusted my rating scale more than he's.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Sometimes we'll shit on a book and then Matt will still give it like a 6, and I'm like, it's a 4, Matt. What are you talking about?
But I mainly do that for my own personal laughs.
That's better than when we used to shit on a book and he give it a 7.5.
That's true. That's true. The growth has happened. Yes. All right. Blue Beetle issue 9, Josh Trujillo on the writing, Adrián Gutiérrez on the art. Take it away, Matt.
Yeah, so I'm going to get this going up. But in the last issue, we had Victoria launched Pinnacle. So Victoria Cord, sister to Ted, launched the Pinnacle robot that's using the Green Beetle, Noctera, or as they call it here. We learned that its reach name is, where'd it go? When it pops up, I'll point it out. But yeah, so it fires up and it had essentially cut that overthrow guy in half because it is protecting Victoria. Jaime and Kaji go to try to they try to engage, and Victoria throws herself in front, right, and says like, "Hey, Blue Beetle's not a threat. We don't need to do this." And it powers down. And Jaime starts yelling at Victoria, like, why did you do all of this? She goes, well, I only do what's necessary. And then as she goes to pick her glasses up out of the rubble where that Pinnacle has caused them this whole thing, she reveals to Jaime that his friend Brenda has been working for Victoria behind his back, which really throws him for a loop. And not only that, Victoria drops some Spanish on him. So, stuff is starting to be revealed about Victoria that maybe we already knew she wasn't trustworthy, but like to what level? So Jaime leaves and is just like, your brother, I saw him. I went and found him in the time stream. If he only knew everything that you were doing, you'd be trying to help me get him back. And then so Jaime goes and confronts Brenda, and this is where the art really takes over, because he flies out, he comes into the panel, right, and Paco, his friend, and Brenda are standing up against a chain link wall, and throughout the course of the sequence, it really does this whole separation between Brenda and Jaime. It makes it look like a cell at certain points. It really shows how separate they've been, despite the fact that she reveals that she did this to add like a stopgap for Jaime. Also, she needed a job. And Jaime's even more taken aback when he finds out that Paco knew about it the whole time, but was sworn to secrecy by Brenda. He was trying to protect them both the whole time. Jaime's like, well, look what she did. She can't be trusted. She weaponized the Beetle in a scary way that we don't understand. And Brenda talks that she knows, but all she wanted to do is help, because she feels Jaime's too in over his head with all of this. And Jaime lets her know that she's disappointed, but and tries to get her to quit, but she won't. She's like, she doesn't have anybody. She doesn't have Ted. She doesn't have people like you do. You're surrounded by people that care about you. Part of Victoria's problem is she has nobody, which I thought was really humanizing. After we see this, sinister side to Victoria Cord, kind of the fact that Brenda's sticking around, because what if she has somebody? What if, I can be that person that Ted kind of was to her? And it goes back to Victoria's lab, where she has this Pinnacle android, which now that I'm looking at it, kind of reminds me of a Sentinel, which I'm wondering if that's kind of the vibe that they're going for. But she realizes how big of a mistake this was, that she can't really control things as much as she thought she could. So she ends up demanding and ordering the Pinnacle to destroy itself. And it does. And Brenda comes in as there's a stasis field around Victoria to protect her from the explosion. She sees the Beetle, Noctera, in pieces. So now we know that Victoria does have the means to destroy one of the scarabs if necessary. And Brenda starts questioning Victoria why she did all of this type of stuff. And she had said that when her dad had turned over Cord Industries to her instead of Ted, it was, he made it known to her that she could no longer just be confident being the smartest woman on earth, but she had to be also the most powerful. And it starts to feel kind of like Lex Luthor villain kind of stuff. Victoria says that she realized she didn't care and that she'd rather be seen as a villain than a victim. And Brenda kind of agrees with her. So Victoria dismisses Brenda, says that's enough, we'll get back at this tomorrow. And Brenda looks over and reaches for the Green Beetle. As Victoria leaves, Brenda takes one of her flying cars out, and because she took the Beetle, it launches some of these drones from Cord Industries called Nightingales that go to hunt her down to get the Green Beetle back, which of course gets Jaime involved, and he ends up bringing down the car, but then Victoria calls down her drones because as she goes into the control room where the drones are, Ted Cord's there and is just basically like, look, I've been in the shadows. I've been watching from afar. I don't like who you've become. So I don't know if this is actually Ted or just some, other thing that's coming, for Victoria to kind of to trick her. But she's like, well, why can't you see what I'm doing? And he's like, well, no, I can, but we have a real crisis on our hands. You've really made a big mess. In the crash because of her drones, the Green Beetle gets away and reforms as Pinnacle, but now it's self-sustaining, so it's running its own operating, which is going to eliminate all threats to Cord Industries, including the Horizon. And so it starts heading for the part of town where the Horizon have held up. And in case you don't remember, the Horizon are the other Reach, right? They're the ones that are holed up in Palmyra City, and they kind of have their own little section of town. So it's going there to take them out because it sees them as the biggest threat. Very, very good issue. Again, humanizing Victoria Cord is something I didn't think, because from the beginning she's been seen as the villain, but she's had her moments back and forth. But pointing out that she doesn't have anybody and that Brenda's going to stay there, because maybe she just needs to be heard. I like that part. And then Jaime's whole in over his head thing, that's kind of, since Blue Beetle took off, as far back as I can remember, has been his entire thing. So here, her pointing that out to Jaime, that he doesn't have as quite at the control that he thinks he does, I like that as well. And the art looks great. There's no Starfire in this issue, but everything else looks great. Especially the coloring here. So like when we see Pinnacle, it's kind of pinkish purple, which contrasts with a lot of the other stuff going on in the city. So when we see that it's ran by this Green Beetle, and it starts to reform, it adds a bit of, I guess you'd say, contrast, because when it comes back, it's not as pink and as purple. So it kind of blends in with the city more. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. I'm sad the book's ending, but if we can finish up strong, I think that's a good sign for Trujillo as a writer. But yeah, so I will give this an 8.
All right, cool. Well, Connor's got that to pay off in the form of Patreon books.
Yep.
So we'll start off with Noctera 15, Connor.
Yeah, so picking up where we left off, in the middle of a story arc, obviously. We were at
where we left off. Yes. 4 months ago.
Our gang, Sundog Convoy, had reached looks like Eos, the big light area where they are keeping back the darkness, and they are like, it's like a paradise left in this post-apocalypse. And this is where the equation was leading them. This is where everything's been building to, is this place exists, and it's this one bright spark left in the world, in the trying to not even take on the approaching darkness, the true darkness, Nox. Just like this is just what's left, and they're just chilling, they're just surviving here. And Emery has a plan because Bill's here. Obviously, Bill has invaded along with them, and he is infecting the place, and he is bringing the darkness into the light, and everything's getting worse. And yeah, so they're like, oh no, what are we gonna do? He's ruining everything, and they have a brilliant idea of, let's make it all worse. So their plan is, let them take this place, we'll infect it more, and draw them here. And then all the beings who've lived here, who have absorbed all the light energy, will channel that into these cannons that I have to go, they're from like issues ago. We'll go back, we'll go pick up those cannons, and we'll channel the energy, and we'll take it off at the source. We'll do a head-on battle, and that's how we'll win. Of course, there's some debate as to whether or not this is a good idea, or should we really be ruining this one space left. But Emery's he's adamant that, hey, no, I've seen this in visions. This is what we should be doing. He's like, oh, yeah, they're all a hive mind. I'm still connected. I can shut them out, but I can reopen it when I have to. This will work. Just trust me. So he leaves to go and get it. But the ending is of this is with him being like, hey, I'm keeping them out of my head. I've got this under control. I just need to keep them out until we get there. But then Bill's like, hey, open your eyes. And he's like, no, I'm not going to open my eyes. I'm not going to let you in. He's like, oh, no. It's too late for that. Just open your eyes. So he does, and they're already in his head. And in his head, he is on a road, strapped to it, like tied to a chair in the middle of a road, and he's got a big truck coming at him, and that's the big cliffhanger. And this is going to be continued in the Nemesis special instead of just the next issue, because obviously you throw a special in the middle of an arc. I can already see, like, without looking this up, I know for a fact this is because Tony Daniel wasn't going to be on time for the next issue. So they've written in this, so they've got a special so they can have a different artist, because they are adamant that Daniel's doing all the main issues. This is his book as much as it is, everyone else's. He's the artist, but that doesn't apply to the specials. We can have different artists. So I'm assuming it's pretty much going to be set in his head, the following issue, which is why you have a good excuse to have a different artist. You can get a little bit wacky with it. I could be completely off with that. I haven't checked any of that, but I'm fairly confident that's what they're doing, because it's the only reason that makes sense to have a special, after 4 issues of a 6-issue arc. That would be just weird, right? But overall, yeah, this is a really fast issue, considering, like, it has a chunk of exposition at the start and a chunk at the end, but most of the issue, probably about a little over half, is big action sequences of them fighting the creatures that Bill has turned and is introducing into this place and is ruining it. I think it's kind of impressive how fast a read it is, considering it is Snyder dialogue. And you'd think after over a decade of working with these top tier artists, he would shut up a little bit, but he doesn't. He's still Snyder about it. Obviously, he has good working relationships with all these people, right? Because otherwise they wouldn't keep doing these books with him. But yeah, it definitely is wordy at points. But when he just shuts up and lets the action go, it's really good. It's really fun. Yeah, this book is still really great. I think it's losing a little bit of momentum right now, though, in the fact that the last 2 or 3 issues, it feels like we're still in the same place. And now we've got the next issue, which is, it feels a little bit unfair to include it because it's a special and not the next main issue, but this says to be continued in the special. So it feels like that's just the next issue. And it kind of feels like there's going to be 3 issues. Maybe that special will be oversized as well. Well, with no meaningful progression, really. That's a little bit frustrating. This is something we've seen in Snyder books, though, where it hits a point where it stalls for a little bit and you kind of just have to wait it out. And I think that's where a lot of people get frustrated with his books. And if they do drop them, it's usually during one of these points. But I don't know. Usually, they more often than not, they're good again on the other side. So you just have to get through these stalling bits and enjoy the art while it's there. It does mean there's actually not a lot to talk about in this issue, though, because it is pretty much just, right, hey, here's some technobabble about how we can maybe beat them. Let's go. And then lots of action. But it's still solid. From rating it is on the weaker end of the issues. It's pretty like a 7, just about. And that is being generously dragged up by the art.
All right. Well, been a long time coming, but your final Red Hood issue for David was Gotham War Red Hood issue 2, which at the time you read issue 1 of this when it was brand new and the event was ongoing that it was tying into. And now it is but a distant memory.
Do you want the full title for the issue? Because it's not just that.
Oh, go on.
Batman/Catwoman, The Gotham War, Red Hood, issue 2.
Dear. All right. Well, go on.
This issue was horrific. And it's so much worse than the first issue in a way that actually annoys me. Because at least the first issue, so from where I remember, the first issue took place right after Batman locked Jason up. right? If you cast your minds back to Gotham War, I know you don't want to, but you're gonna have to. Batman, Bruce locked Jason up because he couldn't be trusted right now, so he threw him in the basement. First issue was right then. The second issue doesn't follow straight on. It starts before that. It starts like days before, doing other stuff of like, oh, hey, this is what was going on before. And I felt like the first issue already covered all this stuff pretty much of like, hey, this is what happened before. The second issue we're going to follow afterwards was kind of how it was promised. But it's not. It's like just over half is still before. And and it's him going around doing stuff for Catwoman, and then he meets up with Ravager, and obviously they've got a relationship going on the minute. And he's like, "Yeah, I'll meet you in 48 hours in the usual spot. I just got to go do some shit first." And then there's like a countdown of him, going through the stuff, and it's like 48 hours, 49 hours, 50 hours, and it's at this point that he's locked up by Batman, and then you have Ravager calling around, being like, "Hey, has anyone seen him?" And I'm like, "We'll ask Catwoman. We'll get in touch. Don't worry about it. He's pretty fine. He's pretty fine." And yeah, and then it's just him fighting it out with Joker and like dealing with the Scarecrow toxin stuff. Like, so it's Jason versus Scarecrow and Jason versus Joker, like at the same time, and it's just a mess. And the worst part is, this is a 2-issue mini that was tying in, right? This ends with to be continued in Batman/Catwoman: The Gotham War, Scorched Earth, and concluded in The Joker, The Man Who Stopped Laughing, issue 12.
So I'm as you were describing this, I was like, did I read this? Because I was reading some of the...
You did not.
No, I skipped. So. Yeah.
You made the right choice.
I think my favorite thing about that is the first one's not so bad. It's like, okay, it's a tie into a crossover that you're... Presumably if you're reading this, you're reading the crossover, so fine, whatever. Like, this will wrap up in that. But then, and to be concluded in this other ongoing series that we're not even talking about so far.
Like, issue 12 of an ongoing Joker book that I have not read any of. What?
Let me guess. Jason's gonna have to confront his trauma by talking to the Joker.
Oh, it does end with them all in a burning building, and like Jason's like trapped under a beam, and Joker's like jumping out the window. It's like, don't worry, my boy, we'll see each other soon, I promise. That's the last bit of dialogue in the book. And then it's to be continued and to be concluded. Not one or the other, but both.
Wowie.
Like this was... I will say the art is solid because it is... Pete, would you do your pronunciation again from earlier?
Oh, it's... what's his face here? Let me just find it on my list. Nikola Čižmešija.
Yeah. That one. Art's great. He's actually really solid.
If you can get it, Connor, go back and read. I forget who wrote it, but it was the Zatanna Batman story that Čižmešija did the art for. So if you like the art there, you'd like that Zatanna.
Did I read that? Because I don't remember some of his stuff.
It was in Urban Legends.
Or maybe I didn't. Did he do the Azrael stuff at one point, Čižmešija, as well?
I think so.
Because he's been knocking around the extended Batverse for a little while now, and I enjoying every time he pops up. His stuff's really solid.
Yeah, you definitely, because it's a pretty decent Batman Zatanna story. Because probably an issue or two too long, but it went all 6.
I'll check it out because it'll all be on DC Universe.
It should be, yeah. So check for that one.
Yeah, I'll check it out. But for the record, this was written by Rosenberg, which is, I assume, why there's stuff tying in with the Joker book. But like, the first issue had no hint. Like, there was stuff with Joker, like, because obviously the Joker is still a big deal for Jason, right? That's part of his trauma. That made sense to have him not even be there, but to have those effects, that history, be part of his psychology. That's fine. But then to just straight up go, by the way, you need to read this Joker book. Rosenberg, what the hell are you doing? No, stop it. This is it's frustrating enough that this has no resolution whatsoever, and it's its own little 2-issue tie-in. But at the very worst, I could argue that was an editorial demand. Like, hey, you need to go and make them read the last bit of the crossover. if for some reason someone really liked Jason and they came and read this, but they were not reading any of the Gotham War stuff, maybe they'll go and check it out now.
Where would you put your fandom of Jason?
What do you mean?
Do you tolerate the character at this point? Because you've read more Jason Todd than anybody I know.
Okay, I will say he is significantly better when he's not written by Lobdell.
Okay,
which may not be that shocking a statement, really.
That's like every other character ever created.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh God, remember Starfire?
You know what, though,
yeah.
and not to defend the writer who must not be named, the second arc in that is significantly better than the first. So
better does not mean good, but yes.
No, but when she becomes the captain of the Space Pirates and all that stuff, it's a lot better.
I wouldn't even say like. It's weird. I don't hate Jason, a character, as much as I did when I was having to read him as part of that stuff.
Yeah.
But also, I have like leftover trauma. Of like I see him and I'm like, oh, it's that.
Yeah.
And that colors everything. Even when it's like a better take, even when it's a better written thing, part of me is still like, yeah, but it's Jason.
Yeah. At this point, I've tolerated Jason more than I haven't at a certain point. But I still, when he shows up, I still get the cringe, like, and it's never earned. Like, there's nothing that any writer's still doing. Like,
I've read enough of Jason as Robin originally.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not really a huge fan there.
Yeah.
I've read enough Red Hood, him as Red Hood, both sides of that run at this point. That I'm like, yeah, okay, I don't really like him as Red Hood either. I liked him well enough in Under the Red Hood.
Yeah.
And I like him more. I kind of like him as being Gotham's Punisher.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not willing to lean into that. And they just constantly trying to find something new to do with him. So it's hard to say I like him or dislike him anymore because he doesn't really have a defined character at this point.
No,
he's just something different every time I read him.
He's just Bat family member that's rough around the edges. It's kind of without the develop. It's like kind of where Cassandra Cain was before she's actually got character development.
I think if you're going to make him the Punisher of DC, I think you have to send him somewhere other than Gotham, because the thing they keep running into is that Batman's there and Batman will stop him, because of course he will. So
yes.
They have to send him off somewhere else in the world.
That's the problem. And there was a point where they were like, oh, he'll be Punisher, but he won't do it in Gotham. But then they were adamant that they still wanted him tying in whenever they did a Gotham tie-over. He's part of the Bat family. He has to be there. Yeah. And it never makes any sense with his relationship with Bruce to have any sort of relationship if he's going to be like this.
Yeah.
So now they pulled back on it, and he's kind of got rid of the gun. Like there was a point where he did the rubber bullets,
but
now he's not even really doing guns. He's just doing the crowbar thing.
Yeah. Well, that's why I liked when Rosenberg did write him in Urban Legends in that first, where he's now responsible for this drug-addicted mom's kid. Right?
That was solid, yeah.
Yeah, so I like there where he's kind of having to play in the shadows and go off of there. But yeah, I don't need him as the Punisher. I feel like they do need to develop a role for him if they're going to keep him in the Bat family.
It's frustrating because I think the Punisher angle is probably the most suited and most interesting role for him, but it's also the one that guarantees he's excluded from any future Bat family events.
Yeah.
And they don't want that. Because for some reason, Red Hood has a fan base, and they want to churn out those tie-ins like this to guarantee chumps will buy it.
Like you.
And, hey, I did not buy this issue. Thank you, DC Universe.
So real quick too,
my yearly subscription.
I found that story if you wanted to read it, because it's called Bound to Our Will, and it's in the Urban Legends Volume 3 trade. So I don't know if they do trades.
They do. Okay. For anyone who's not familiar, Ultra members, which you can only buy as the yearly subscription, they're the ones that are like only like 1 month behind instead of like 3 months behind.
Right.
And they're the ones that get the trades as well.
Okay. So if
I am on the Ultra subscription just because it makes sense for me personally. But
well, there you go. If not, it would have started in Urban Legends 11, and worked its way.
It'll be easier just to jump into a trade and find that one story.
Yep. Well, and then also if you want to stick around, it's got the Mark Russell, Carl Mostert story about the pets.
How was that?
It's very good.
Maybe I'll go check out Volume 3.
Yeah, so there you go. Yeah, it's got the Ace story where Ace is going around and saving people. So,
Nice.
or saving other animals. But yeah, so just in case you like the Čižmešija art,
all right,
which I do. Yeah. But just to wrap up on this issue, because I see P getting frustrated. It's hard to get. It's a non-existent issue because half of it is stuff that feels like it was superfluous by the time we started this issue because it should be wrapping up, and then the back half starts to do it and then doesn't wrap up because it wants you to read it wants to go and tie into 2 other different things instead. So it doesn't even have an ending. It literally ends with him in a burning building. There is no conclusion. There's nothing satisfying. This is a waste of a 2-issue tie-in. Like even by DC's tie-in standards, this is bad, and not just like bad because it's Red Hood. Not that it's bad because it's badly written, bad characterization, bad art. Most of those things are fine. Bad because it's a waste of your time, a waste of your money, and all it exists for is to try and make you buy the issues that it wants to make you buy at the end. That is it. That's the only reason it exists. So I'm going to give it 2 ratings. One is its objective quality, which is like a 6, and one is how I actually felt after reading it, which was like a 3, because it made me feel angry getting to the end of a 2-issue thing and being like that.
All right. Well, there you go. That is the part of the show where we pick our favorite stuff of the week, favorite panel/moment, favorite cover, favorite art, and top 5 books, or 4 in this case for some of us. So panel/moment, Matt, have you got a pick?
So shouts to Connor writing, or Connor Kent, not this Connor, writing Parasite on his shoulder. I thought that was a lot of fun.
Who is Connor writing, and why are you saying it's a good time?
Yeah. Also, I really liked also from Action Comics the backup where Brainiac's lording over his son, Vril Drox. That was really good. But my moment's probably going to be from Outsiders, and it's that moment where you realize that where she grabs the drumstick, and you realize that's her tether to the old universe, and takes Chiquita Wagner to becoming the new drummer. Thought that was really well done.
All right, Connor.
Mine's also from Outsiders, but I'm going from the end where it starts addressing the reader, and it's like, you think you know the ending, but you don't know. Bleep. That point where I was like, oh, I'm really excited for what this book's about to do. Yeah.
I think I'm just going to go with the end of Green Lantern. I think the ring showing up, just because it's built up so well that it means so much by the end of that issue that it's just a good way to end the book. Covers this week. There's a few interesting ones. There's an Ian Churchill Green Lantern one that's all right. It's just not. I mean, it's good art, but it's just not particularly interesting.
It's fine,
for my choice of thing. I will say that there's a good variant for Action by Paulo Rivera, which is like Superman inside a bottle and Brainiac's face. Very flat, Silver Age kind of look to it, which I quite like. My pick, though, is probably going to be the Fornes variant for Outsiders, which is Drummer drumming on the planet. This just looks really nice. It's got all sort of paperback looking quality to it. Matt?
Yeah, so I wanted to shout out that Outsiders one as well. I love that cover. Another cover that I loved was from Green Lantern, and it's the Evan Shaner cardstock variant, and it's got Lobo looking like he's giving Hal Jordan a noogie, and it makes me laugh, and that's going to be my pick.
All right, Connor?
Yeah, most of the covers didn't really do much for me, but yeah, that Outsiders one, that's the only one that stands out to me this week out of everything. But like, that pink space, that negative space, just adds to it and just gives it a vibe. Yeah, I'm into it.
All right, art of the week, Connor.
Oh, that is tough because I don't think there was any real bad art this week, but I'm not sure any of the individual books stood out because, if I'm wrong, apart from Outsiders, all the books had two artists.
Yep, they all had sharing duties, yeah.
So I think almost by default, I'm going to give it to Outsiders, which is good. I want to say the art in Outsiders is good. Not amazing, but very good. But I think the fact that it's one artist doing the whole book gives it an edge over all the others, which are also like solid.
Yeah. I settled out of Green Lantern, I think, where I'm landing. Although action's not bad either. Like,
none of them are bad and I'm saying, they're all sharing duties. No one, like, none of the books are like really bad. The splits are all pretty okay.
Yeah, I think I'm leaning towards Green Lantern, but I don't feel like strongly over some of like the others necessarily. I think Batman and Robin was less to my taste, but like I think that's just the one that's edging out a little bit. Matt, what are you picking?
Well, so if we were just picking individual artists, I would go with Medonca because I really like that Brainiac stuff. But
that's not the rules, Matt.
I know. But as a team, having to look at it, I think Green Lantern is leagues above Action Comics. So, shouts to Blue Beetle with Gutiérrez because it's another solo artist, and it's usually really strong. But yeah, the Green Lantern stuff this week just really worked. So mine's Green Lantern.
All right. So ranking books then, Matt, go.
All right, 1 is Green Lantern, 2 is Outsiders, 3 is Blue Beetle, and 4 is Action Comics.
There you go. Connor?
Outsiders, Green Lantern, Batman and Robin, and Action.
Yeah, my number 1 is Green Lantern. My number 2 is Outsiders. My number 3. I'll still go Action, but it's by a hair,
They're both like they're not that far apart, are they?
Then 4 Batman and Robin. So yeah, but hey, I quite like the top 2 books that I talked about. So that's fun.
Me too.
So coming up next week from DC Comics, they are releasing Nightwing 114, Batman Superman World's Finest 27, Superman 14, Titans issue 11, Wonder Woman issue 9, Catwoman 65, Justice League versus Godzilla versus Kong. Oh, Matt's missing the finale of that.
I'll have my thoughts on that one as well.
I'm sure you will.
I was very pleasantly surprised when I read issue 6 and was like, oh, it's not 6 issues, it's 7. Because I felt for sure it was going to be a 6. That was a nice surprise.
Yeah, and the cliffhanger was good as well.
fell so Kong could rise.
Oh yeah, I love that in the last year there's 2 different books that have killed Guy Gardner, and I've enjoyed it both times. It's great. Anyway,
it's still the superior lantern.
Shut up. We also got the Man Bat First Night issue 3. We have Hellblazer Dead in America issue 5. Alan Scott Green Lantern issue 6. Green Lantern War Journal issue 9, and then some facsimile editions that I won't bother mentioning. So yeah, definitely the busiest week of the month by far. I've got like 8 books. It's a busier time.
I got.
Have you read any of the First Night?
Yeah, I read the first one. That was the last episode I was on.
Oh, okay. Right. Well,
issue, one issue.
Issue 2 is still worth reading.
I think I've only got 1 issue of everything to catch up on before these issues. I've got like basically 2 issues of everything, with the exception of Superman, because obviously I was up to date with the crossover. And then I'm also up to date on Justice League versus Godzilla versus Kong. Was there a delay between 6 and 7, or did I just get really excited to read that?
I think so. It's felt like it's been a minute.
No, I don't think there's been that much of a delay.
I'm gonna look.
Because Connor has been absent longer than since we've done at least 2 issues of that since Connor was last year. So no.
Yeah, I might have just got Sure, I can just look when issue 6 was on here.
It was March 19th. So was when the last issue came out.
Yeah, so there was 1 month between them, but there
was an extra month off.
Yeah. But like, I'm pretty sure it's been longer. Like, I think Connor was here.
I wasn't here for the last issue of that. But when I was because like I said, I was catching up on all my books, not just the ones for this week, but I did prioritize those. So obviously I was up to date on. I knew I'd read issue 6 of that, but that was obviously longer than a month ago because otherwise I would have prioritized other things first.
All right. Yeah. Bit odd the 1 month they took off was the month the new movie came out in, but I mean, that's just unfortunate.
Unfortunate, yeah.
All right. So that is the show, pretty much. You can let us know what you thought of this week's books in the comments. Of course, get us on Patreon, patreon.com/MailFuzzTV if you want to support the show and help keep the lights on. But otherwise, that is us. So, like I said, Matt will be missing next week, so you'll get the rare Peter Connor duo next time. And
I just hope the show survives. Because it might be.
We'll see
that little Guy Gardner back and forth took me back.
That's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, we've had lots of practice.
That's the show, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us. We'll see you next time. Keep reading comics, and remember to never get lost in the Speed Force.
Who gets custody of me when we split?